particularly felt, but then also say how I particularly felt about certain situations. I was like, on one side, like even for Charlie Kirk, I was like, there's a lot of things that I would personally love to debate him. I think he's very wrong in a lot of different aspects. I think he's on the right path on certain aspects, but there was a lot of things that I disagreed with. Never in my life would I ever say of a political opponent or somebody even who's saying something I completely disagree with that you should die, or I should be happy that you died,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
I should be happy that you got killed. But how I say it, you got murdered. I was like, I,
Yeah.
the point from how I was talking, because I was getting attacked and not at the same time by people, was yes, there is a humanity point for me that I still be like, you're still human. I can still be like, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. If he would have died of a heart attack, or if he died from somewhere else, I could still say, oh, that sucks. That spirit is not here anymore. But I really will start feeling the sympathy for people who know him, know him or her, or around them, family members. And but I can still do that and still be like, I disagree with a lot of points that they're saying, though. But that has nothing to do with the action at that point, their death or their murder or their anything from
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah.
I said this was an assassin. I was like, we got so far from the point from in some of my conversations that I'm like, there was a person who was assassinated, and all I said was, I don't think that people need to be on online celebrating this one. That's weird behavior. But also, the other side of it, I said, I don't think that only because I did see a lot of it. It was this is an active war. These people hate us. I was like, we don't even know who the shooter is. We have no information. Why are people celebrating? And then why are people getting ready for a war? I was like, we don't know anything. Slow down,
Well,
everybody.
I
Figure out
can
what this
agree.
is.
I can agree with that sentiment. The part that kind of gets me because like I agree with you. I think there's like the proverbial line where everyone I would agree that I would think people would agree like there's a line you just don't cross, and it usually is death or you know a person's safety, their personal safety, because like that's one thing you just don't do. And I'm like, yeah, everyone I want to believe is on the same page when it comes to that, whether you like them or hate them, agree with them, disagree with them. And I have to be careful with the word hate because hate has been diluted of its true meaning over the years, which I believe is a contributing factor on some level, like the wordplay, the speech, you know, that's the language that's used to describe things and how it could uh, inspire people to view things in a way that isn't necessarily true. So that's one thing, like, because one thing that we've been dealing with, uh, I guess the right for the longest time is our views just in general being reduced to hate speech.
Yeah.
And, hate speech is something that is very uh, ambiguous. You can't really pin it on anything, and it's one of my criticisms of the left. I mean, the right does it too, but because it's been so prevalent, the left controls the culture in many aspects, or they have in the past over the past decade, to the point to where the conversation is always dominated by their wordplay. And just to kind of just stick on hate speech specifically, hate speech is a loaded term. Like hate, the word hate itself is a loaded term. It implies malicious context to anything that it's used to describe. So let's say if I'm like, let's say I'm the trad lifestyle. I'm like, yeah, man, I think I prefer, I think it's good for society or our culture that women focus on the household and raise children while the men go out and work. And let's say somebody who vehemently disagrees with me comes at me and is like, oh, that's you spreading hate speech towards women. You must hate women. Like right off the bat, you have put me in a position, and if you have followers or whatever who hang on your every word and don't bother to like get the full context from my end, from their view, I'm just a hateful piece of shit.
Now,
It's
the
like
the only
that.
pushback I would say with that, and I
Somebody.
agree with you to an extent
What's up,
because there's
Hassan? What's
look,
up? What's
son,
up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Later.
Yeah. What's
the
going on?
only pushback that I'll give to that is there is a culture right now, of course, like even just on YouTube and more things like that. There's this clickbait or troll culture that
Hmm.
they know that this can get to an idea. Just as you just said, there are even right now in our country now, there are men, and this is not just a red pill, blue pill, whatever thing from there. There are men in this country that say, "Hey, I want to be the provider in the household to let my significant other be the nurturer of the household. So if I can make sure I have a job that makes enough money for both of us to be provided for, they can actually use their resources to help out and assist with our child to make sure that our child has the best life they can have." Now, that was a
Hmm.
nice wrap up for that. Most people don't have a problem with that wording from there, but there will be people that will say things like, "Women, you belong in the kitchen." Now, it's the same thing from what they're saying and meaning, but they're hijacking the conversation. They're
Well,
hijacking it to that extent. Now,
yeah,
where do you say
yeah.
hate speech is now once they go the far, far, far side of it goes, well, I agree with everybody that's been saying these bitches belong in the kitchen. Okay, you hijacked it worse than the other person, worse than the original
See,
conversation.
here's the problem I have with that because let's go off of that guy, the sensationalist. Oh yeah, man, I'm just cartoon character. Mwahaha, women shouldn't. They're just breeding factories, and that's the bottom line because blah blah blah. Okay, I wouldn't consider that hate speech because the
Oh, of course.
thing, yeah, here's the thing about the use of the term hate speech because like hate, the term means to detest. Like I, in my opinion, hate is a loaded term. You shouldn't use it unless you are 100% serious. But the culture, the accusation of culture that we've developed over the years, in the case of, let's say there's like, me who said my original point that wasn't crazy. And then there's the guy who said his point that, is crazy. But the people coming at me that disagrees across the board, this is like a tactic used to shut down the conversation entirely, to diminish my position from the jump. That's why I don't like it when people say, it's hate speech. It's hate speech. It's like, dude,
The,
what do you mean it's
I,
hate speech? Because
I
if
think the
I
reason
hated,
why is because the person that is actually doing hate speech is quote
no,
unquote
no, no,
on the
no.
same
What?
side.
Okay, right there. You just said it. What is actually doing hate speech? What is it?
So when you say what is hate speech, are you
Hmm.
talking about what is the legal definition of the crime? Because
Well, no, no. See, here's the thing. Like when
because it's
I
the difference between you
hear,
saying a hate speech when it comes to like communication with between others and the actual legal illegal version of actual for hate
well,
speech
when you
wise.
say illegal or legal, like, okay, let me just start with my opinion of what hate speech is. To me, what would be construed as hate speech is somebody, let's say, this is an example. I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form. Let's say there's this guy named Dominic who makes content about whatever. And I'm a dude named Mark. And let's say Mark is the one guilty of hate speech. Mark's content
So hold on,
primarily,
what level of like how what is he saying to hate speech? Can you
yeah,
give me an
I'm about to give you an
example?
example. Mark is the one doing what I define as hate speech. So Mark's content revolves around Dominic, and every video is like, I hate this guy. He should not be here. He deserves to die. I think he's all of these things. He's X, Y, and Z. None of it's substantiated. And let's say he has an engagement in his comments. It's like, dude, what's your problem with Dominic? He's a pretty cool guy. Like, you don't understand anything about this guy. I just can't stand him. His success, his face, his hair, his lifestyle. I can't stand it. Every time I see him, it just drives me up the wall. Somebody should do something about that guy. I'm so sick of seeing this guy. Like, do you want to debate him? No, fuck him. I'm not going to platform this piece of, to me, that is hate speech. When there's a focused target that you are primarily focusing on specifically, Now, this could be expanded to a group. Now, replace Dominic with a group of people. I hate black people. Black people are the worst thing that's ever happened to the planet. Blah, blah, blah. They should all be X, Y, Z.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is hateful speech because he's not only just giving his position, but he is doing like a call to action. To me, a call to action does not fall under freedom of speech because you're
Okay.
calling for something to occur to somebody. Like that is your express content. That if hate speech has to be defined as something, it would be that,
Okay.
not
I
simply
like
the
that. I
case
like
of
that.
not
I,
simply the case of like,
So
oh, okay,
let
I
me
have an example, real
mhm,
life example,
okay,
and I'll just use these two for example. There is a communication on more of the right leaning side of this bird of we are having to redo our immigration platform, our understanding of how to have people move into our country and or move out of our country
hmm
legally and perfectly fine. There is conversations of immigration, perfectly fine from there. You're having people on that same particular side say things like Mexicans don't belong here. They need to go back to their country. They're this and that and other particular other derogatory names. Or would that be considered hate speech now?
well,
no,
that technically is hate speech.
no.
So
The reason
why
why I
would
say
that be considered hate speech after they're literally wanting to do that and to try to kick them out as much as particularly possible?
okay, like I said in my previous example, call to action, like to say something like, "Oh, they shouldn't be here." Like, okay, is there any other nuance behind that statement,
Well,
or is it just simply like, if it in a vacuum, if the guy is just like, "I just hate Mexicans because Mexicans are Mexicany and I hate their food, I hate their
Hmm.
culture," okay, fine, I will grant you that is hate speech.
well,
I think
you
that's a
mind, you mind
very
if mind if I jump in and say something about that?
Yeah, and
yeah,
after that, we're gonna get into the topics.
yeah.
Okay. Um, the real definition, the actual definition of hate speech, it basically refers to a discourse targeted a group or individual based on inherent characteristics such as race, religion, or gender. Right. So if you have essentially a group of people, and I don't want to specifically single out anybody, but we can ascertain what I mean. But if you have a group of people in a country that's saying you need to get out because you're Mexican, you need to get out because you're Arab, you need to get out because you're this, that, and the other, when our country is secular, you're specifically targeting those group of people because you don't want them here for whatever reasons that you have. So if you're telling these people they need to leave, they don't deserve to be here, or if you celebrate death, or if you celebrate that they get locked up by a particular um, government um, entity that we have here, ICE, then you are in fact involved in hate speech as per the definition of hate speech, not an opinionated definition of it, not somebody's opinion of it, the actual definition of it. So when
Mhm.
you're sitting up there telling people that, hey, you don't belong here, or hey, black people XYZ, hey, Mexican people XYZ, you're coming from a place of even though it's your opinion, but your opinion is hateful. So ergo, it's hate speech.
Okay, what if my opinion is based on something?
Let's
For
see what is based
example,
on, based on what?
for example, let's just use Mexicans. Let's just say
Yes, sir.
I'm not just talking about Mexicans in a vacuum. I'm talking about Mexicans who cross the border illegally. Let's
Okay.
say that's my statement. It's like these particular Mexicans shouldn't be here. They cross here illegally. They should be taken back home. Is that still
Okay.
hate speech?
No, you know what that is? That's a preference. This idea is an opinion. Um, it's an opinion,
Which
but wait,
which does not involving of hate wise. If you're saying if somebody broke
yeah,
the law,
yeah,
there's nothing wrong from there. The
yeah.
question,
Mhm.
the only part that would be starting to be considered hate speech, and this is the only part that I'll tell people to be cautious about. If you say that, and then somebody else says a different country, so you
Mhm.
say, you know what, these illegal Mexicans should not be here. People are like, oh, okay, cool. What about
Yeah,
the legal Guatemalans?
yeah,
Oh yeah, they could be here. Why? Now
yeah,
you're pointing your hate towards just one country.
yeah.
But if you
Because
said a Canadian that
yeah,
comes over to the country, and
mhm,
you can say the same literal exact thing as a, hey, anybody who comes in here illegally should go back and be reprocessed and blah blah blah. You're correct because that's now you're looking at law,
Mhm.
you're looking at
Mhm.
immigration, perfectly fine.
Okay, so like, well, my only thing with that, and I'm not saying this is something that you specifically engage in. I don't know, but would you agree that on some level that any attempt to make a delineation between the types of immigrants we're talking about, and this is with any topic, not just immigrants, but just using them as a baseline.
Mhm.
There are several facets as to why many people wouldn't want. Oh, excuse me, wouldn't want illegal immigrants in the country. So you that's fair
Of
game.
course.
There should be
Yeah.
no pushback from anybody.
No. Yeah,
You
we're fine
remember
with that.
you remember when I first started this one, I was saying that there's an actual legitimate conversation when it comes to immigration, not just from more leaning right or left. Everybody's having the conversation to say, hey, we have to change this
Yeah.
because this is not working correctly. And I even agree with that. I was like, this, I'm not saying we should close the border, I'm not saying we should open the border. I said, hey, since we have a process already, fix the process
Right.
better than what it is. If somebody's already here for 14 years and their visa expires, on one side, there is an individual thing that you say, hey, you have to make sure that's not happen. But on the flip side of that one, we can say, oh, okay, we're not going to put you to the literal back of the line where somebody hasn't had a day in here yet. You already was here. So
Mm.
you kind of already in front of everybody anyway. You went through the legal process and something happened to a point where now it expired. Here's the process to make it this faster, and it shouldn't take 15 years for you to become a
Yeah.
citizen after that point.
Okay.
That's the
Like,
difference.
yeah, fair when it comes to that. But like, okay, well, let's get into like, not to get off the main topic here, but I just kind of want to make a distinction here. This is why I don't think it's simply hate speech. If let's just take a guy who just says, I just don't like Mexican. You can even call him a racist. So that you would consider that hate speech, so it would need to be controlled or banned in any way, shape, or form.
Not banned, but I mean, I don't like Mexicans because, and then you get into some hateful shit, or
No,
say some.
let's just
But
just keep it simple. Like he just doesn't like Mexicans. He thinks, I don't know, they're weird. We can't determine whether it's out of jealousy or malice. He's just like, I don't like Mexicans. I just don't like them, and I don't want to elaborate further.
that's fine. But
I would I would ask this simple question right there. If you gave me the information off one side, now you don't want to elaborate. Now you don't want to talk
yeah,
more.
yeah,
Why?
yeah. Why? Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's a fair criticism to have of somebody. But let's just say
right.
they don't give you
But,
anything.
but we can, I mean, surmise the person is it general like that. I don't like Mexicans. It's like this. That's a little weird anyway in itself.
Yeah,
If
Right.
it's a whole people who are different, just like every other group of people.
yeah. But
Yeah.
I'm asking, would you consider that hate speech, just straight up?
Yeah,
It's just a guy with his
hate
opinion.
speech from a hateful jackass. Absolutely.
Well, I wouldn't consider that because there's not enough here. And I'm not trying to say that to cape for the guy. It's just like, look, to me, hate has to be earned. Like you have to put in a lot more effort for me to determine hate. Because, like I gave my first example with Mark and Dominic. Mark, he hates Dominic, and all his reasons can be spurious and ridiculous, but it's clear that his intent is like this. But if your demeanor is like apathetic or not even apathetic, just like uh annoyingly neutral, kind of like, well, I just don't like this. It's like, or if you just, I just said I don't like black women.
Mhm.
Sometimes I find them annoying. Well, women can be annoying regardless of their color, but maybe his experience is that of like maybe he just ran into one too many annoying a black woman.
Which
And
even with that one, that's still fine. Here's where the
okay,
difference was. Again, this is where the context was. Let's
Mhm.
say 4 black women were annoying, and you say black women are annoying, and got with, let's say, white women in this case. But then 17 white women were annoying. At that second, you should say, okay, yeah, that person believes women are annoying off that one. But that usual person will still say, after the 18th white woman and is happy now, you're like, well, these black women, they were just so annoying.
yeah, I think
Okay.
that's
So,
bias. What if that guy just really likes white women?
and which
And
that's fine. The point from there is if you really
Mhm.
like something, that's fine. That's where your focus should be on. commenting on the secondary after you already had that one. Now we're asking for reasons why. I was saying, what was that reasoning why? Case in point, same way we just said. Hey, I just don't like Mexicans. I just don't like them. But okay, cool. Do you like Spaniards?
I don't know. Are they Mexicans? Can they be confused as Mexicans? If
If
so, then yes. If not,
See,
I guess they're okay.
that's where the information is. Are you saying this because of this or that or blah blah blah? It could be considered hate speech
That's what I'm
depending
saying.
on what
It's like,
your prejudice is. If you have a prejudice of that one, because that's again, that's what hate speech is with
yeah,
ethnicity, with religion, sexual
but
orientation, and
but the only reason why I'm
groups.
kind of pushing back is because my definition of hate, I think, requires a little bit more before you stick that word hate on it. Because to me, hate is a loaded term. To accuse someone of hate speech, it's like you gotta come with more than what they're giving you. If they're not giving you anything, it's kind of hard to pin that on them, in my opinion. Because it's a bit of a jump. You kind of escalate the conversation to another level. In my this is just my opinion. I guess this will be my pin on it. Like,
Yeah.
I think the term hate loses its value when it's used so casually. Like if it's somebody in their preference and they're kind of annoying about it or they're being flippant about it, I wouldn't consider them hateful. They have to do a lot more than that for me to hit them with the H word.
Yeah.
You know.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this started. We'll get into the topics.
Mhm.
First, I want to kind of just go around. As we know, Charlie Kirk was assassinated a few days ago.
Mhm.
I just want to kind of go around and give me you guys' like initial feelings towards it. We're gonna start with Thanos Jones down now.
That's a good name. Um, Thanos Jones, bro. Well, so I've legitimately I was around when Charlie Kirk first started Turning Point USA back in 2012, um, and from that point, I've seen a lot of discourse from conservative outlets, and years and years go by, I start seeing a connection between what he's saying and then the overall arching ideology and what they think about black people, because he had a lot of topics and a lot of things he felt about and about the black community. Um, when people start talking about the black community and then you put these ideas in an entire an entire ideology, and then you wrap that up and you ball it up and then you package that and say that here is what I think about this particular people because of the let's see, the perception that we have, or the inflated perception that we have about black people, and the wrong perception that we have about black people, and then you start disparaging black people with your comments and things of that nature, and not just black people. We're talking about the other populations, let's say immigrants, the Mexican people. We're talking about even the people in Gaza. When you speak hate, and I use that term in how Charlie Kirk legitimately spoke about people, and we can debate about those particulars later. But when I think of hate, that essentially was, if you spew hate, hate will come to you. No matter which way it's sliced, no matter which way it's sliced. I am not going to sit up here and be sad that this man got clapped. I'm not going to sit up here and show remorse that this man got clapped. It
Mm.
was an instrument of white supremacy. And to act like he wasn't is being disingenuous. So, was I happy that he got clapped? My initial reaction was like, "Whoa, all right, well, there's that." I'm not going to sit there and have remorse for his families, because what about Melissa Hortman's family? Nobody gives a fuck about their families. What about Jamal Aubrey's family? Nobody cared about Jamal Aubrey's family. Nobody cared about anybody else's family, but now we have to sit up there and have sympathy for this man's family. No, I refuse to have that. I do not care about that man. That's
I
all
would
I have to
just
say
I
about
would just say this to you, Leno Jones. I mean, those names that you said, I think it should all go and coincide with each other. That when somebody passes, especially in a tragic way, that we should all have sympathy as human
that.
beings equally.
Yeah, yeah. I know I don't have sympathy for white supremacists, bro. As a black man, period. Because again, will he and people of his ilk do not have sympathy for us? Why do us as black people, or why are we the one that must have sympathy for
So it's
that?
all
When,
people. The only thing I would say today, I think it's
Mhm,
all people. But the reason black people are involved in this, which is crazy, because one of the things that I know you made a video, and I
mhm.
actually agree with you. Whether it was proven, black people didn't shoot him, right?
No, we didn't.
We
Thousand
seen the
percent.
shooter.
None of our damn
So
business.
the only thing why I think black people are so involved in this, let's be real, and a bunch of the black people that's doing all this talking didn't even know who he was. Let's just be real.
Mhm,
But they're just talking a lot of trash. They're
mhm.
celebrating, they're dancing on, celebrating his death.
How
So I
many
think
people?
that's the easy reason why it is. I don't even know why this even turned into a white versus black thing when
I
black
can I
people
can
had nothing to do with it.
because the when you say Democrat, when any conservatives, when they say Democrat, when they say left, when they say DEI, you put those three words together, who do you think about? Brandon, I mean Blasian, who do
That's
you
okay.
think?
People know my name.
My bad. My bad. But who? Let's not be disingenuous. Let's all be real here. When you say Democrats, the left, DEI,
Hmm.
what other words we got? CRT. Who do you think about?
So
I
I
think
would
I
say
think of
this:
black people and liberal whites.
when it comes to Democrat and left, that's a lot more open. When it
It's
comes
yeah,
to
Hmm.
CRT, when it comes to
DEI.
DEI,
DEI,
when it comes
that's
to
black,
inner
Mm-hmm,
city,
mm-hmm.
right? Urban.
But
urban,
but
they all have been used in context for black people.
for black people. So when you have those two things, right? But
Oh, thugs. Forgot about that one.
yeah, you have those two things. But that's what we have to we have that's what we have to look at what the I don't want to be insensitive here, but we have to think about the the education that we have in this country. Who or what do you think white MAGA, the people who are actually doing threats to people and white supremacists and those who do you think they think the left is? They automatically think that we're the left because and Democrats because we vote Democrat overwhelmingly. So when you say Democrat as a conservative, as a MAGA, as a whatever, you automatically put black folks in the crosshairs, which is the reason why where they had to shut down all those HBCUs because they got threatened, even though they had nothing to do with it. Long after they found out that old little white boy from Utah, 22 years old, did it. They went after black folks because of the word Democrat. Period. And
You
that's
said you said they
hmm?
went after black folks
Yeah.
after he got shot.
Yeah,
I,
after he got shot, after they even knew, after they knew who was the killer, they still went after black people. They still went after our HBCU. They went after our babies.
well, I'm split. I'm gonna do this with you.
Okay, yeah.
One side of it, I say the people who are the most upset about Charlie Kirk's passing should just focus on, hey, let's see what happens to the guy that they actually caught, and just mourning, and whatever they need to in support
Hmm.
of his family.
Hmm.
The ones that are you saying attacking, going after black people and stuff. I've been seeing some racist comments and stuff. I think those are the ones who are just mad. They hear the black people celebrating, and that's a natural reaction to any fan base. That's like when Prince passed. If people were in all on his songs talking shit, you want to have his fans going at him.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just be real. I don't think they're just attacking black people. Not all of them. Not counting for all of them.
No, we're
Let's
not
say
gonna say
let's say
all.
some are
So
just racist.
I think
Some
what
are just fighting back because they see so many, mostly black people talking shit.
I
Well,
think what he's talking about in this context was the attacking of that one is before information fully got out. There's been multiple
yeah.
reports from HBCUs that's been threatened, from
Mhm.
bomb threats to more from that one, specifically due to the actions
Hmm.
of that kid that unfortunately assassinated him. That had
Hmm.
nothing to do with these. So
Yeah, yeah,
that's the correlation from there. People
yeah,
calling in saying, Charlie Kirk died, we're going to bomb your school,
yeah,
Mhm.
would make
Uh,
that school say, what does that have anything to do with us?
yeah,
yeah.
And of
opportunists.
course,
Oh yeah, I mean
now,
Yeah.
it's a bunch of idiots, of
now,
course.
yes, and now I'm about to say, now the only part that I have from there is, and this is again where people keep saying that I be defending people on that one. That is not the full force of MAGA. That's not the full force of
No,
the
it's
right.
not.
That
It's
part
not.
I agree with. That's not. But the ones that are, and this is again, this is the people that would be like, oh, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. Oh, everybody did it, but I voted for Trump, so I'm with MAGA.
Yeah,
And we'd be like,
exactly.
no,
So
no, don't do that.
yeah, so again, my point of view on that again is the reaction of conservatives, the reaction of MAGA is that they immediately said Democrat when the boy was from Utah, when the boy was white. They ain't got nothing to do with us. His dad was a sheriff. They were Republicans. They love guns. They love God and country. Mormons, in fact. It wasn't who they thought it was. The governor of Utah legitimately said, "I'm sad it's one of us." He wanted it to be somebody. He wanted to be one of us because let's not forget the day before, um, we had a black man killed that Ukrainian woman. They were
Hmm.
already hot about that, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, they lost their shit about that. Even though and they were saying that black people they sat there look at all these stupid black folks they sat there and watched them when they didn't have the full video. The full video showed that black people tried to save that woman's life and then they end up making sure the dude went to jail. But the overall arching, the way that the media framed it, Newsmax, Fox, and everything, about they basically framed it that no, this is what it was, and the perception of that basically gave black people a target then, and then Charlie Kirk died the next day. They automatically had left Democrat. You had videos on TikTok, Threads, Facebook, Instagram, all these places, you had all these conservatives threatening, talking about it's civil war. We're on our way to come get you, you Democrats, and all of these things. And again, black people, black people, we had nothing to do with that because we ain't clap shit. But the fact of the matter is, they came after us because by by just how we vote, they immediately said, okay, black people, Democrats, we're just gonna go after your HBCUs.
Well, I will say this though, they did. It's been some stuff that came out about the shooter. I seen something that said he actually been to one of you know how Charlie Kirk would go to these
Hmm.
college campuses and
Hmm.
debate people. They
Hmm.
said the shooter was actually at one of those debating him,
Hmm.
and two, his roommate is trans.
Hmm.
So that would
Which
they using that to indicate that he actually is like a left winger.
you see how they're framing that now. They forget his entire upbringing.
Hmm.
It's that
Hmm. Well,
they
I
go.
have something to say to that,
Go
but
ahead, bro. Go
I'll
ahead.
let you finish.
And
But
yeah. Let
uh,
me just last point. Last point.
mhm.
Let's forget his entire upbringing. Let's forget everything that boy was. This boy was in college for a semester. For an engineer program. He wasn't even there that long. So him having a trans roommate is ancillary
Hmm.
to the 22 years of this boy growing up under his parents in Utah as a Mormon. He specifically said he did not like Charlie Kirk before then. Do you know what a groiper is?
Hmm.
The Nick Fuentes crowd.
Yeah, yeah. He was again. There's a lot of not speculation, but there's a lot of things leaning towards the fact that he didn't even like the fact that Charlie Kirk wasn't as right as he was supposed to be. right wing, right leaning.
Mm.
There are reports about that. So now we're getting all these different conflating and combating reports, but the fact of the matter is everybody was all up at arms, ready to go to war, civil war. Even now, you know what they're doing? They're getting people fired from their jobs just for saying, "Oh, this person celebrated Charlie Kirk death. This person over here, they said, oh, they don't have any remorse for Charlie Kirk. This is fucking Charlie Kirk." We sat up there in the same day, lost 3 children from a white supremacist, 16-year-old white supremacist. We lost 3 babies because of that shit. Did nobody say anything about that? No thoughts and prayers about none of that. But we're gonna put half mast for Charlie Kirk. We had a school shooting last week. Didn't go half mast. We're gonna go half mast for Charlie Kirk.
Mm-mm.
It is infuriatingly the hypocrisy and the virtue signaling and the agenda that they want to push. Like, okay, we're gonna push up this Christian white nationalism. We're gonna push this up now. You guys, oh yeah, you Democrats, you liberals, you are in trouble now. And now they're after us because of what one of the white boys did. Ain't got shit to do with left. But in the minds of these people, it don't even matter
I know
because
it's a.
they're.
Oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
But no,
I was
you're
just
good.
gonna
I'm
ask
done. I'm
you.
done. I'm done, bro. I'm done. I went on my thing. You
You
asked
good?
me.
I was just gonna ask you real quick. I know this like it's impossible because of the day and times we live in with social media age.
Yeah,
But wouldn't there be all the more reason for black people to shut up?
shut up. About
Yeah,
what?
just be quiet. This is a white on white issue. Why?
Uh,
Why? If black people didn't do it, why we have such a strong opinion on it? And again, the celebration and the talking shit to
well,
it.
because he was racist for decades. He's. I mean, he spewed race. He spewed hate. Nobody that says black people shouldn't have civil rights because they shouldn't. The Civil Rights Act was a mistake, and they want to say, "Oh, what context? What fucking context do we need civil rights was a mistake?" If you think that we should not have had civil rights and we were better off in the '50s, what, getting hung, lynched? The employment rate in the '50s for black people was fucking abysmal. They didn't really have the statistics on the employment rate for black people in the United States of America in the 1950s, early '60s. It wasn't good. They wouldn't hire black people. They lynched us daily, massacres for years and years and years. You think that we should not have signed the Civil Rights Act? Why?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you
What
get off.
what is the reason for that? Why would you think that we should not sign something that you know what I'm saying? So now the thing is, when you say that, when you say that, you are officially saying that fuck our freedom because we didn't really have any. We couldn't even vote back then. Barely. So before the Civil Rights Act, he said, "Oh, the families were together." Yeah, about that. What do you mean? What statistics are you getting that from? Because you saw a few pictures?
Yeah. I'm gonna let Joshua. I know you wanted to get in on that.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Okay.
Yeah, go
All
ahead, go
right.
ahead. Yeah.
I'm gonna start with like the first question you asked, like I guess like, how I received the information, how I took it or whatever.
Yeah.
But all right, so my opinion on Charlie Kirk was I didn't really watch him that much because to me he came off as, generic conservative. Most of the opinions and values he expressed I share for the most part. That's why I didn't really just like watch him on a regular basis. I'm like, oh, okay, it's Charles Kirk doing the Charlie Kirk thing. Changed my mind. Whatever. Crowder spinoff. Cool. Whatever. No biggie. When he was shot, my first question was, why him? Because the first thing I kind of thought about, like, okay, let's say if you're gonna shoot somebody for being radical or crazy or whatever, I was really perplexed that it was Charlie Kirk. I saw the video; it was disgusting, horrifying. I'm not a fan of that type of content or whatever, and I thought it was gross to snuff somebody out like that for him doing what he does, which is debate people, which I think is like the most sincerest form of communication. Debate your ideas, whether you like them or not. Everything is on the table. in terms of debate, even the things you don't want to hear. Like, you mentioned the civil rights. Yeah, I would like to hear both sides of the argument for that. Even as a black man, like the idea that if you view something as, you know, extremely negative or anything, in my opinion, that makes it all the more worthwhile to debate because you better have a damn good argument for or against it. I want to hear both of it because the civil rights era happened before my time. I enjoy the benefits it has given us, but I also want to know all sides of the story. I want to know who argued against it. What were their reasons for it? Even in today's time, what are the arguments for or against civil rights? Are some of the things we're doing now generally accepted on the same tier as civil rights, or are we leaning too far in a direction that's being overtly beneficial at the cost of skill? But just to kind of go back to the part on Charlie Kirk, I've seen him as kind of like milk toast conservative. There's plenty of other people that go far further than he does that I thought would probably be more at risk. But yeah, so the feeling that I got was, it was really unfortunate. I feel sorry for his family. I feel sorry for what happened to him, his wife, his children, because despite his reputation, whatever anyone may have about it, like the children are pure. They don't have anything to do with anything. So hearing people say like, fuck them kids, it's like, hey, really? I mean, I can understand consolidating your frustration with the person. And like I was talking to earlier before we started, like I think on a human level, regardless of who it is, there should be a line that you don't cross.
Mhm.
And that line I would put at death, especially with how someone dies. There's just some things you don't do because I guess you could call it playing devil's advocate. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, you see all these people celebrating his death like this is some type of victory, when for our country it is a net negative for everybody. There's no benefit here, regardless. Like the act itself doesn't matter who did it, the race or whatever. The fact that it happened is enough.
Right.
And so I think back to, I'm like, okay, I wonder if this same thing happened with Martin Luther King was shot. And I'm sure it was. I'm sure there are plenty of people like, oh, finally, someone got that, fill in a blank here. And I think that the consensus is just like, yo, I may not have liked the guy. I didn't really care for what he was going for, but did you have to kill him?
No,
Was
no,
it worth, the going that far? Like there's a human aspect that I think most people, the majority of people, because I believe most people are good in the country, United States. That's all my biases here. Most people are inherently good, regardless of if they agree or disagree. That's why when we started this notion of hate speech, I think it's flung around too much that ends up slowly snowballing into a justification for somebody's final moments. So that part I find very disturbing, very gross, very not good for anybody. Because if those are going to be the rules that we play the game by, then no one's off the table. Now the evil, racist, super racist white people have a justification, and it's no different than anyone who uses a similar justification for Charlie Kirk. Because it's like we're getting to a point to where it's not we can't even debate. His whole gimmick was debate, which I think is admirable. Again, whether you like him or not, he showed up to talk, and that's why I don't buy this this notion that he was hateful on any level. Because somebody who hates doesn't want to talk to you. They hate you. They don't want to be near you. They don't want to deal with you. They have nothing but bad things to say to you behind your back, to people around you, to bring down your credibility. Somebody who hates doesn't go through the extremes that Charlie Kirk did to spread hate. I've seen some of his debates, and like I said, from the jump, I agree with a lot of what he has to say. And I noticed that when a lot of black people kind of pseudo justify his death in some way by saying, "Oh well, you got what's coming to him. Shouldn't have been spreading all that hate." I'm like, unless this guy is saying that blacks should be gunned down in the street or lynched, I don't buy that. Those are two different things. That's why I was so adamant on like contextualizing legitimate hate. So when he says something like, "Oh man, let me quote this statistic," that's being deemed as hateful, because I'm sure you could find plenty of black people who may agree with that statistic. Does that mean black people hate black people too? Is a self hate? You see, it turns into this endless thing where you cannot quantify it, because now it's just an allegation being thrown out infinitely, endlessly. Everybody hates. Everyone's a hateful whatever. So well, fuck it. Let's just Mad Max this shit. Everyone. If you dig hard enough, you can find a reason to kill anybody. Like, to me, that's like where this is going. That's the precedence that's being set when I see people say things like, "Oh well, he had it coming. This is his own undoing." I find that ridiculous. And just kind of going into like the shooter himself, like I heard that a lot. Like, oh, see, lol, it didn't. LOL, didn't see that coming. White guy shoots white guy in white Utah. Statistics going statistic. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Tee hee ha ha, funny, whatever. But on the case when it comes to like, oh, well, his family is like this. One thing I don't like that happens in discourse across the board, both sides do this, but they will try to pin all causality on the family, as if we don't live in 2025 where influence is king on the internet, on TV shows. It's one of the criticisms that people like me on the right have of the modern culture. It is very left leaning. Now, yeah, of course, there are channels that push the right wing rhetoric and everything, but ain't no right wing rappers that people are taking seriously. There are no right wing actors in the latest blockbuster movies. You could type in any actor interview when it comes to like the latest social thing, and they will almost always come down on the side of left leaning. Now,
Yeah, the left definitely has a
it is
monopoly
what
on
it
media.
is. My issue when it comes to like this whole thing, and like who should be blamed? I guess I'll start there, because that's kind of where my social media posts have been alluding to. Because for 10 years now, ever since Trump got elected, the schism started there. And some people will be like, well, that's Trump's fault. He caused this. I'm like, no, that you're giving this guy way too much credit. But when it comes to the right and left, conservative, liberal, the point of extremes have become too, like, they're like polar opposites now, to where people think they can justify actions against another. And for the past 10 years, there has been heavy influence, especially on the part of culture, to be very anti-conservative, against conservative. An example, Chris Pratt. I'm sure some of you may remember, but he's like, generic good actor. Everyone likes him. He doesn't really say much politically, but one day he came out and was like, oh man, I'm happy for God and my family, the generic conservative stuff. And he got, kind of dragged for that. Now, to me, that's not me saying, you see, this is an example, but I think it's indicative of where culture is as a whole, when somebody can't even say X without being criticized because they aren't like everyone else. Because right now it is socially acceptable to be left leaning. You gotta be cool with the gay people. You gotta be cool with the trans people. You better not have an opinion against it. Otherwise, now you're hating. Now we're back to hate again. I can't simply just dislike something. If I dislike it or disagree with it, it must mean I hate them. It must mean I want them dead. And that's where the stretch begins. Like Charlie Kirk, from what I've seen, and I plan on watching more, but I doubt I'll find anything substantial to have any genuine proof behind him being hateful. Because again, like if he genuinely hated black people, he wouldn't debate them endlessly at college campuses. He wouldn't talk to them respectfully. He wouldn't have this dialogue with them in a way that says like, okay, I want to hear what you have to say about this black person. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, here's the statistics I pull. What are your statistics? How do they differ? Well, I disagree because of this. Like, to me, that's not hate. It doesn't constitute as hate. When you put that under the umbrella of hate, you're opening the door much wider. And as far as the response after the shooting, that's the internet. Like, I will say, like, there's a lot of the rage bait that a lot of conservatives fell for. It's unfortunate, but it's people can't really do anything about that to, like, I guess, stop it or whatever. People are going to feel some type of way. They're going to feel attacked. They're going to take it in a way that's beyond what it is because of the nature of the attack. It was very graphic. One thing I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of is like, yeah, you see, they want us dead. It's like, well, I can't disagree with that. And like, of course, unfortunately, that's a very generalized statement where you just say they want us dead, they being anyone left of right or left of center. And the example I can give for why someone would feel like that, me in particular, because the past 10 years have been an event for me, a black guy going conservative. And the experience has been very unpleasant. I've lost some friends, and this isn't me like, developing a crazy opinion that's just like, oh, now that I'm conservative, I think gay should be blah, 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 blah. Like, I don't care. Gay people, I don't mind. Now, I have some opinions about aspects of their lifestyle influencing my children. I don't like that. I don't have any kids, but just in general, like, yeah, I don't think kids should be exposed to that. Like, there's a huge push for that to be okay for some reason. But if I have an opinion against that, I'm hateful. Like, okay, well, let's play your game. You're heterophobic, but no one does that because it sounds ridiculous. So
we're gonna go to
that's
Brandon
just kind of, I guess, my overall rant. It just seems like there's a very clear push going from one side to the other. Many conservative voices across the board within the past 10 years have been unfairly banned or sequestered in many online spaces. A lot of these companies are very left-leaning, with the exception of Twitter or X, since Elon Musk bought it. And, at his core, he's a lefty, but he's like a tech bro. So, like, obviously he cares more about, technology and what all, rockets and stuff to be too political, unless it's to his benefit. Fine, cool, whatever. But before that, during the Biden administration, the crackdown on anything right of center accelerated. Nobody said anything. No one said no one wanted to even go there. A lot of YouTubers that I watched changed their political stances and opinions just to stay safe. And it's part of the reason why so many people kind of compare the leftist march to Joseph Stalin's Russia or communist China. Here come the commies, going to force everybody to think a certain way, because if you do wrong, you got to get taken care of, you got to get taken out. This is something I think the left is responsible for fomenting over all these years. And one thing I said in one of my posts is that the left is so dominant because there is no, seemingly on a large scale for like the greater, I guess, the Democrat Party, there's no pushback. Like, every idea that comes through just rolls through, good or bad. No one challenges it. And if you do challenge it, you mysteriously become victimized in some way, whether it's in the form of character assassination, your reputation gets burned, and there's plenty of examples of this. And that's why the right has kind of grown in some shape and form. They call it "I'm leaving the left." They've gone too far. Jordan Peterson, like many years ago, he had a debate with I think it was Eric Dyson, if I'm not mistaken.
We gotta pause a little bit. We gotta pause. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, I hear you, bro.
Yeah, I hear.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to. Let's just keep it to a minimum of response. I want to swing it around, get everybody's opinion in there, get anybody in there. Josh, can you hear me?
He's on mute right now.
Yeah, you gotta I don't know. Yeah, it's on mute. Josh, you on mute?
No, I
Uh,
don't think something wrong. I just don't hear you, bro.
Anybody else can hear him?
No, I don't hear him either.
no.
We might have to log out and log back in.
Nah, it's just on his end.
Mm. I can hear you though.
Yeah.
Mm.
You got to
Uh,
click the microphone on your icon.
Yo, brother, just if you can hear us, just log out and log back in. See if you see if that works for you. There you go.
Yeah. Joshua.
Now, if you have a separate mic, you have to unmute your separate mic.
Yeah,
Well, it's unmuted now.
No. So you can mute yourself like
yeah,
with your actual mic, and then you can mute yourself on SteamYard.
yeah.
Make sure that he didn't mute himself while
Yeah.
trying.
Mhm.
Now I did it because I was trying to get in there.
Gotcha.
But
He said 1 sec. He said 1 sec.
Okay.
What happened to the game? Was that sent? What was that?
Right. He was getting his
People,
I was
rocked.
your ass beat up.
I was
That
trying to
game,
do multiple things at
that
once.
game, that game hard though. That game
This
is hard,
man's
bro.
getting
Yeah, this gonna be
rocked. I'm
hard.
like,
This
man,
is
if you
straight.
don't block and die.
Testing.
Nah, I'm better at it than that. I was just trying to
Oh,
do multiple
was that
things at
I
once.
hear you, Josh.
let's see our testing? Yeah.
I hear
But
you,
yeah,
Josh.
let me swing it to Brandon, man, with the question of how you have felt. Like, yeah, we're gonna kind of keep it short so everybody get in.
All right. I'll try to keep it short. You knew this was gonna be a long podcast, but uh, long story short, first reaction, I will probably quantify it at up. Can't hear you right now if you're saying anything.
I think I heard you
You
say testing.
Yeah, I heard you say testing. So whatever you did at that time, do it again. Uh, my initial reaction, I like to probably quantify it as silent disappointment, um, and not over everything else that happened afterwards. Uh, I knew that he is a debater, pretty much of me knowing him. Just he's a known debater on my end of knowledge at that particular time, and hearing that he got shot, not unfortunately assassinated yet, but just hearing he got shot was immediately like kind of like a more of a like a why. Like I hate to say it this way, but I was kind of like hoping it was like something that was like a pass by. We don't know what happened, type of thing from there. Unfortunately, I have a hood background, so things like that. But hearing that he was on stage, made a speech, blah blah blah, then shot, immediately just like, okay, this is going to be a problematic thing. Um, Second wave of emotion hit once I started listening to multiple other reports, was his passing, and at that same time hearing that his family was there, like there, um, friends were there, people that was there for
Yeah, yeah,
debate. The second wave hit in was worry, not just for his family, but this is at a college, and we have had unfortunate reports of school shootings. So that immediately say, everybody get to safety. Like that type of logic kicked in from there. After that, then the wave of other emotions started hitting. I can't say that I'm not a person that didn't look at it and say, "Whoa, this may now be targeted because
yep.
things that he's said before." Maybe, maybe not. I don't know that part, and still don't. But that was a worry from that one. But then after that, getting more information from there, and seeing the backlash on both sides by technical sense, but seeing just the reactions and backlash from things from that, it made me start talking to my wife on other things about civility, uh, about how are we humans and not having just a human reaction to certain things. Uh, you know, I felt, and I actually said before, I say if once I got more information and seeing that he was sniped, There were people that were passing out the video, and I was like, I don't want to see an assassination attempt. So, respectfully, I don't. But hearing that he was sniped, I was like, okay, so coward's way out in the sense of this person's going to do that and try to hide away. No, if you want to,
Right.
if you want to stand on your principles, well, just stand on your principles. Then get arrested, get shot. Like just stand on your principles, but didn't. Like it was just a wave of different emotions that I was feeling at that just small period of time. Um, but then seeing people's reactions to everything, that's what made me kind of step up and be like, you know what, I got to say something because
Yeah.
there are people just on my own personal timeline. There are people that are laughing about this and
Right.
joking about this immediately. I think one of the first things I saw was maybe an hour or two after that happened. There was already memes that was going around viral of things that he said before, and I was like, the things he said before doesn't equate to him getting assassinated. Part, that part, I was like, I don't really look at that, or I look at that differently than what other people were telling me that they looked at, which was fine. I'll say everybody can have their own opinion. That's fine.
Mhm.
Um, but then while quote unquote going back and forth with other people of them telling me how he was and what he stood for and this and that and the bullet should have hit his head and like all these other particular things on that side, it
Yeah.
was my other side of my friends or associates saying that it's wartime, we're ready to shoot, ready to kill, ready to do all this, and then the disappointment kicked back in. I looked at it in the sense of when 9/11 hit, which ironically was the day before. But when 9/11 happened, for maybe 2, 3 hours that nobody knew anything, there was a unity enough to say, we don't care what the political reasons are. We need to make sure that people get out the building. We need to make sure, well, not hours, minutes, but we need to make sure people get out
Yeah, I
the
was
building.
about to say,
Yeah, unfortunately. We need to
hold
make sure
on,
people
bro.
get out the building. We need to make sure people are safe. We need to make sure, like, didn't matter. I didn't care left, right, black, white. It doesn't matter. Safety. And then once people got to safety, okay, we need to make sure that people are healthy. People who are hurt, we need to get them. Like it was a constant of that. It didn't change until more information started coming out, and then it was
After
kind of a
Muslims,
two-sided again. Right.
nah,
It
it
was,
just went
oh, we
straight
hate
after
Muslims
Muslims.
now,
Went
and
straight
Muslims
after
do this,
Muslims.
and like that's not
It went
like
straight after them. They started going to India and all that. My bad. I ain't mean to.
right. I mean that's basically it. Was it started moving goalpost wise, and I was like, uh, there are still families like trying to find loved ones right now. I don't think the discourse on that should go just yet. We need to make sure if there's anything that we can do from that one. If we need to raise more money, if we need to make sure that every single person that was affected from that get a check. I didn't care. Just it was like that's the focus. So in this case, it was people who were there, family, friends, anybody there. I said that should be a focus for a period of time until more information come out, and then we can start maybe having conversations. Uh, but then after that, as I said, it was a high, a low, a very low, very high. Of like, okay, I
Mhm.
have a new appreciation now for myself of understanding that I can say, wait, I don't need to just say get all the information, but I would like to get the information. But on the flip side of that one, I can look at everybody else and be like, we can calm down as a nation. I would hope, and I hoped, I should say, I hoped that for our current president was able to say, okay, let's see if he can all the tension down. Didn't happen the way I was particularly looking at it. So so
Hmm.
now we're still on the outskirts of that one. That I'm like, okay, we have to get to a point where I look at the humans as humans instead of anything else, and then everything else is second. I can still look at you and say, yeah, I don't believe in your point of view, but I should also look at that, and that's the reason why there's other particular uh, consistencies that I had with that one, with past before, with the same exact feeling. I just be like, damn, the people who are affected, those are the ones that I would more care about. But then it doesn't last that long because then I personally have to get focused on something else that somebody's being brought up. But yeah, overall, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, you kind of leaned into exactly what I wanted to kind of ask you guys. Do you think political tension in this country is just at an all-time high that like we've never seen it before, to where people, the human side is just gone. You're right, you're left, you're Democrat, Republican, you
What
whatever you are, and it's just gang warfare with it.
I can't speak before 1983 because I wasn't alive, but I could sure enough tell you that before, okay, during Reagan, when they essentially, or even before Reagan, say with harder the tensions in the black community versus white community, it was there because it was like we're fresh out of the 60s. It's not like it's not like we didn't just get out of the 1968 where Martin Luther King got assassinated. It was like 2 years after that was the 70s, and then 10 years after that was the 80s. But during the 70s, it was still a time of Republicans were essentially had a chokehold on this country, and you had different types of things where affirmative action needed to happen, or they still had redlining, and then people were denied loans, and then they put us in certain areas of the country that we could not move outside of that area. We couldn't go to the suburbs because they wouldn't give us the houses. And then, okay, now everybody wants to the black people. How we going to change this? Okay, let's vote Democrat because all the Republicans are doing these maps, and they're doing this, that, and the other. So that was during the 70s. During the 80s was the same thing. They had a clean sweep with Ronald Reagan, and we see how well that ended up. Okay, we ended up having this trickle down economy that fucked us over for the past, I don't know, 40 years. And they're still trying to do that now because it created crony capitalism. And that's the reason why we're in a position that we're in money wise with the Fed and all the other things. So when we're talking about the racial tensions and the political tensions, to be honest with you, the past 10 years, we're going to focus on, let's say the past 10 years. Past 10 years, or let's say no, before, even when Obama won in 2008. Okay, y'all, we remember 2008.
Hmm.
How bad was that?
Not this bad.
Not this bad, right? Not this bad. All right, cool. What happened in 2016? How bad was that?
Not this bad.
Okay, cool. Now, what happened in 2020? Now we're going past 10 years. 2020. How bad was that?
It was a
It was
little
pretty
bad.
bad. It was bad. But and then we got to the
Yeah.
point we started talking about, oh, these votes are stolen, or we did this, that, and the other, and uh, then they got into the Jews will replace us, and then we got more we got more open, we got more, basically this country got more reckless with their mouths. Soon as I mean, if your boy Trump got in, people got reckless. There was a lack of decorum after that, total and utter. I mean, they were more emboldened to do certain things and to say certain things, right? These white supremacists and overall bad people. I wouldn't even say white supremacist. I mean, even the average anarcho. I mean, they felt more emboldened to say things. Before, it was limited to 4chan and 8chan and things of that nature. Now you see this shit on Facebook. Um,
Well, doesn't that lean into what Joshua was saying too? Like the left has such a dominant stranglehold on media to even say come out and really be conservative if like you get
mm,
attacked.
mm. To say Democrat, you get attacked. We
Well,
can't
not,
say we
not to
can't go.
interrupt, but can,
Yeah.
can y'all hear me?
Oh,
'Cause
you
I
hear
don't
me,
Yeah,
know.
bro?
yeah,
There
Yeah, I
you
we
don't
hear
know
go.
you.
when I dropped out because I was like, "What the hell?" Because my mic
Yeah.
reset or something. I think I
Mhm.
had to update Brave.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Brave is a good browser. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So when you say Democrat, what do you hear? You hear a wave of just this stupid dumb lib or XYZ. It's very tribal in a way that it's gotten to the point now that we just identify people as their political point of view. Like we'll look at a motherfucker with a red hat and immediately think they're MAGA.
Yeah,
You know
very
what I
much
mean?
so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
imagine. I think I got this hat that said "Made you look again."
yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a
You know,
lot of fun.
and I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right. And matter of fact, I don't think just because you're a MAGA, I don't think you're wrong. I think that you may have a different point of view. I may question um, maybe knowledge on who's in office and different different people that are creating laws, and I may question your the knowledge of what's actually going on. But I mean that may come from a place of you may have heard something or may have felt something that was like, you know what, the left is XYZ. And you may feel that some people may feel or Christian wise, or they have certain different point of views and different
They,
values that they may
they can go both ways.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
especially being black. Most of us being black, we were raised just like Christian. We were raised to be Democrats. Our parents and grandparents were Democrats.
well, well, when you think about that, yes. And then when you think about evangelical Christians, their parents were Republican and their parents were conservative. Mm. So the majority of people in this country is 270 million white people. We're about sitting around 40, 47 to 50 million black folks when it comes down to what's actually right. And we look at the policies. Let's look at the policies. The policies that the Republicans and and the conservative they create are trash, utter trash. And if they're so bad, in fact, that they need to gerrymander the entire state of Texas in order to keep their power. They need to gerrymander Missouri. They need to do all things. Even we just got done changing the maps 5 years ago. We were supposed to wait 10 years, but it's so bad, in fact, that we know that your policies are so garbage. And they know that they need to go and make my vote 1/5 of a white man's vote. Because in Texas, even in where now in Plano or in Dallas and just in this DFW area, your vote is now cracked and it's packed because they're gerrymandered that shit.
But
And
have any like liberal uh states done anything like that?
okay, well, let's look at California. We're gonna look at California as a state that legitimately they have their redistricting, but we're looking at those who did in mid. Okay, the only states that have done that within 5 years is Texas. Texas did it in 2003. They did it recently because they know they were going to lose. The
Yeah,
reason
but I'm
why,
I'm asking like the thing that they're doing because I don't know much about the context of that, but I'm like just like on the liberal front, was there a similar situation where they did the same thing?
no, not that I know of. They legitimately gerrymandering came from Republicans, right? You don't you know that, right?
I've heard. I'm not gonna say
Yeah.
I know because I
Oh,
don't. Like I've heard the
okay.
term, but I
So
haven't looked into like done the deep
okay,
dive
can you
specific.
do me a favor and just while you're here, just look up gerrymandering and what it essentially does. Okay.
Hmm.
If you look, I mean, just take a quick look at it and see what gerrymandering does. Essentially, it manipulates the boundary of the electoral constituency and just to favor one party. Okay,
Hmm.
let's say in Texas, they only have 30 something Democratic seats, but they had like 100 or something Republican. Now they want it more spread across because they want more power, right? They want to keep the power, they want to keep it red, and they are willing to diminish my vote as a man, as a human being. My fucking right to vote now is 1/5 of a white man's vote. As some dude living way the fuck over in Timbuktu, Texas, somewhere that don't even have a job, sat on his ass daily, barely even pay taxes because barely even make money. Hear my ass go
Is it
on daily.
legal or illegal, like the act itself?
It is it was legal because the Republicans legalized it within a judicial system that they created because they are the ones that created or they have a majority of Republicans who are in the Supreme Court, lower court, upper court, appellate court. How many courts? Raisin?
What time period was this? Like the what you're specifically talking about? What, like, I guess what time period did that
What
occur?
for Texas? Last week.
Last week, and you said before it was like 5 years.
Yeah. So okay, no, before was okay. So 2003 is when they did it. They did that because they're going to lose power in Texas. They did that. They redistricted maps. You're legitimate. You do it within 10 years. Once you draw the map, right? You have you draw the maps and then you redraw them again within 10 years. They're doing it because Trump, he said, I need 5 seats in Texas. Okay. He said, I need 5 seats. Just like he said, I need those 10,000 votes in Georgia. Okay. But in Texas, because Texas, we have Greg Abbott, we have a large majority of Republicans, right? The maps that are redrawn now packed and cracked majority of the Democratic cities where there would be a Democratic vote. So basically, I'm going to use, let's say, Irving. Okay, let's say Irving. You had a majority. It was red, but then you had people started moving in there. They saw that, okay, in Irving, we saw an influx of blue voters. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pack and crack Irving votes. We're going to make sure that this district is now redrawn to circle around more Republican areas. So now we're going to put all these votes in. Okay, we're going to crack that, put them to the side over there. We're going to make all these Democrats vote with the majority of Republicans now, because now we're going to take the power away from those Democratic votes.
Okay, so
they've been, go ahead. They've been doing that. They've been doing that, and they've done that just to keep power. You have not heard any popular policy that anybody in the Republican side have created except for immigration. We want to talk about taking away health care. We want to talk about the big beautiful bill. Big beautiful bill in of itself was a fuck ton of stuff that just does not belong there, and it essentially widened the wealth gap that we have and the wealth disparity that we have, because once again, with with Donald Trump's his agenda and this whole Project 2025 thing, which they want the Project 2025, which will end up being the reason why we have the gerrymandering and the reason why we have more Republican judges, and the reason why they're now saying, forget what you're saying, right? Forget your judgment. We're just going to go ahead and do what we want to do because we can. Okay, they have the power to do so. It doesn't matter about policy anymore. Okay, their policy has never been good. Now, the only way they can get power is to cheat, gerrymander, and then you sit there and tell the public that Democrats are nasty, Democrats are mean, Democrats are this, Democrats are that. But
just to kind of go off of that, because I looked up a little. It says partisan gerrymandering, which involves drawing electoral district lines to benefit a specific political party, is currently legal under U.S. federal law. In 2019, the case Rucho versus Common Cause, the Supreme Court ruled that claims of partisan gerrymandering are non-judiciable, meaning federal courts cannot intervene in such cases because there are no judicially discernible and manageable standards to resolve them. This decision effectively leaves regulation of partisan gerrymandering to state legislature and Congress.
Right. Now guess who is the majority Supreme Court, my friend?
Conservative. I voted for it.
Right. And guess what states are really using gerrymandering? The more southern states are we.
Well, and I get that, and I guess this is more, I guess you take issue with it as a practice in general, so that you would prefer that neither party use something like
Yes,
that.
yes, that we're not supposed to. If you were to just abolish, just take away gerrymandering, Republicans would not have power, and that's the reason why they got it in the first place. That's the reason why they created gerrymandering in the first place.
So is there no circumstance of gerrymandering being committed by
So no,
Democrats?
listen. The only reason why they had to do that is to offset what all these other Southern and
I mean, I get that, but
yeah,
of course, like throughout history,
well,
we've had our, left leaning, right leaning president, and if it's a legal, practice that can be done, I would assume ideally by whoever's in power at the time. Obama could have done it, or Biden could have done it. I'm assuming you probably need to be, in office for at least 2 terms to be able to pull something like that off. It seems like he would need like a majority control of the Supreme Court, depending on, who's where. And I'm asking, like, if it's a common practice, even if it was founded or developed by Republicans, couldn't Democrats also use it the same way, like to their benefit?
but they didn't.
Why not?
Well, because when they wrote the district maps, okay. Let me ask you this. All right, let me see. The party that says that we are about rules, we're about regulation, we're not about rule, but we're about law and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
You have Democrats. They're essentially saying we're the same way, but we want to kind of do it the right way. They kind of want to do it the right way. Try to let's say set an example. Election when you gerrymander like that, you're basically rigging the election, quote unquote, legally rigging the election. But at the same time, you now are taking away the rights and the voices of the people who are living there. So when we look at who gerrymandered what, and we look at the the effects of gerrymander, if we want to look at also who uses it the most and the tactic in of itself, uh, Republicans, they not only use it, they overuse it, and that's their only way of obtaining power. And you
Well,
and the
I
reason
can understand.
and the reason why now we have, let's say, Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom in California, they have a huge map. They have a lot of electorals, right?
Uh-huh.
And the only way now they're saying that if you want to do that, fine. But what we're going to do now, we're going to gerrymander. We're going to make sure that no Republicans can actually, vote here. And when you do that, um, that eye for eye, two for two, it's like you have to at this point now because you set a precedent that you know that we probably can't even come back from anymore.
Well, I mean, I get that, but I guess, not to like sound like tactically or anything, but I'm like, I guess my question is, if it is a legal practice, and I can understand if you don't like it on its face as like, oh, it seems like some like dirty tactics type stuff. I'm like, well, if it's a dirty tactic that can be abused by one, then it can be abused by the other.
Well,
And
the reason why is the reason why right now they're able to do it because they have all the power. They have the House, they have the White House, they have the Senate, and they also have the House of Representatives.
yeah, which is what you would do. Like, once you get
Yeah,
the power
yeah.
to do what you want, then that's what you do. Like, are you telling me that the few times, throughout, the country's history, I don't know
They
specifically, but, when we had like an all left leaning president, house, and all that stuff, they it just didn't cross their mind, or are they playing some type of moral game where we won't do it because reasons? Because if that's the case, then I think that, the blame or the issue should fall upon your party for not taking advantage of a system that technically is legal. May not like it, but I'm like, if the name of the game is to win, then win.
hmm.
I'm not saying like I agree or disagree with it because I don't know that much about it. Like I've heard gerrymandering over time, but like I said, I didn't sit
It's
down, break it down to see
so
like
so
full context or anything.
okay. So think about this, bro. I just want you to just think about this for a second.
Mhm.
Let's say if you were living in let's say in Memphis or in Tennessee. Okay. Oh no, we're not gonna use that because that's a southern state. Let's say if you were living in, let's say, Ohio, right?
Yeah.
And you are in a district where you guys had a certain amount of not even a power, but your representation. All right, you had a certain amount of representation, like your voice was heard, because you have representatives in your district that actually represent your voice. And let's say that you're in Ohio and then you're just chilling, and then one day uh, the president say, you know what, I need 5 seats. All right, I don't care how you get them. I need 5 seats because we need to keep power.
Hmm.
You're sitting there and you are a voter. And then you realize that you are now a part of that area, that your vote now don't fucking matter anymore. Like it doesn't. There's it takes 5 of you to equate to one vote of theirs.
Yeah. And I hear you. I know, like, okay,
Right.
let's just for like
But
for the
but
sake of the argument, let's
but
say it's
that's
happening.
but that's the only way that they can get the power. Do you understand? That means that you have to, because your shit is so trash. As a political party, the only way that you are able to get power is to use this thing that should never have happened in the beginning. That the only reason why it did happen was for those purposes alone, and was to get power and to hold on to power, because you don't want a certain demographic of people making their vote count.
Again, like I hear you,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
fair game and all, but again, it's incumbent on, let's say, whatever part with if you get that opportunity to, let's say, illegal illegalize gerrymandering. And let's say I'm in your shoes. I'm a constituent of this party and I don't like gerrymandering. And the next proponent I vote for, I would advocate for, is like, hey, I want when we get our next blue president, I want him to prioritize gerrymandering as an issue and have it dealt with accordingly in you know and when it comes to like politics, and put it to a vote.
Mhm, mhm.
At least that's how I would imagine that's how the system would work if you're displeased with something. Now I understand where you say like, well, the situation is trash, but all I'm hearing is like, well, we're taking advantage of a legal system that anyone can use,
Yeah. And
and
well,
you
you have
can't
to
you
you
can't
have
get
to
mad at us for using what is being allowed. So like,
you have to have the votes in order to do it. The thing about Democratic Party in let's say in 2020, do you know that we had two defectors, Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin? Do you know
mhm.
who they are?
Yeah, I've heard Joe mention. I haven't heard the person, but I heard Joe mention.
Okay, so every time that there's something put up to a vote, them two always voted against, which
Hmm.
means we couldn't really much get anything done because you had two conservative Democrats, right, that
Hmm.
voted the other way when it came down to something that we needed. Therefore, if you even wanted to even talk about gerrymandering, or if you wanted to vote against gerrymandering, it would have been damn near impossible because you have two people that were going against it regardless. And we're talking about governors too.
Yeah.
So no matter, the governor of Texas will be Greg Abbott. He's the one that initiates it. The governor of California is Gavin Newsom. The governors of these states, it's the governors and also the people in Senate that get together and make sure that these votes happen. So if you're saying, I see what you're saying, brother. I
Hmm.
no my 100%. I see what you're saying. Why not use it to cheat? Why not? The thing is, it was a problem, but it really hasn't been as evident until your man came in. And then the first thing he said, I mean, even back in 2020, we need to get these votes so I can get that.
Yeah, and
I need to have that. No, not just get these votes from Florida and get these votes from Georgia. I need you to get me these votes.
yeah, and you
And
gotta understand,
behind
like,
you,
somebody who's on that side will probably be like, all right, cool. Now, I'm not saying that specifically because, in the
right?
past couple of months, I've been pretty dissatisfied with Trump. I ain't,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
ain't my best friend. He ain't my dad
yeah,
and I'm like that.
yeah,
And
yeah.
but when it comes to like a system like that, when you call it cheating, that's why I kind of challenge it. I'm like, well, it's not cheating if it's legal. Cheating is when you step outside the rules and you like, let's say, oh yeah, actually I could do, like Yu-Gi-Oh. I could
Mhm.
just make up the rules as I go. Doesn't matter. I'm the main character. It's like, well, that's not how that works. But if that is how it works, then that means that what needs to happen, there needs to be a completely different approach, at least from your side. When it comes to like this being an issue, because I'm with you up until you say like I said, I understand if you don't like that he does it, but that's it's irrelevant if it's on the table. Because if Democrats can do it, you should do it.
But they only can if they have the majority and if they're the governor of. So therefore, when we're looking at the swing states here, we're looking at big state,
Mhm.
swing state. Missouri is swing state, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're doing it there, and the people there are trying to vote against it. They cannot get the votes to go against it. I mean, because again, this has happened within this 4 years. This 4 years, it's happened. So once you redistrict these, now you're going to go towards midterms. You got to understand, midterms is coming up here next year. The only
yeah,
reason why they're doing all of this shit is for midterms, so that they
yeah.
keep
As
power.
they do every year. Like when the midterms
Right.
come, it's time to put on the suit and dance, tap, sing. Yeah, it's the same
Right,
song and
but
dance
but
every
but
2 years.
but they're not doing song and dance. They're just saying, "Fuck it, we're just going to gerrymander everything."
Yeah, but again, it's if it's legal, then it's legal. Like I say, I'm not saying like ha ha tee hee, it's legal. What you gonna do? And I'm like, hey,
Well,
hey, if it's like a problem that needs to be solved, then
mhm.
it's indicative of your party to solve it. Like, let's say when it comes to governors, we vote in governors. Like, hey, maybe it's time to get Joe Manchin and the other person up out of there. And this is I have the same issue with people on my side on our party because it's like we got a lot of people that aren't really benefiting the cause. Because like I said, I like Trump, but he ain't gonna be here forever. Eventually, there's gonna be another right wing candidate. Right now they're talking Vance. I don't know how I feel about him, to be perfectly honest. But it's gonna be like the same thing there. I could sit here and say, whether I agree or disagree with the guy, but like I say, in your case, this is something that your party seems to be split on. I can't think of the reason why. Maybe it's something that they think they can take advantage
They-
of if they keep it, or maybe it'll bite them in the ass if they do vote against it and they
no,
have it taken it out.
the majority of Democrats say they want the shit to go away because if gerrymander goes away, that means there's fair voting, and then
Okay.
fair voting is what Republicans don't want. That's 100%. There's just 100% fact. This is the reason why
Well,
they take away polling stations when it comes down to when it comes to voting. They take away polling stations in big cities. In Milwaukee, you mean to tell me like, last election in Milwaukee they had 500,000 people. They make them go to one polling station instead of multiple polling stations inside the city. You, and that's what they did. They took away polling stations. So
Let
that
me
yeah,
get in
go
here
ahead,
and
bro.
ask a
Yeah, go
question,
ahead, bro.
you guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, directly to Hassan and Brandon, like, do you guys think that the way that the election went, that a lot of people on the left are bitter, very bitter about that? So some probably want to go, want Trump to fail and willing to scorch earth. They willing for the whole country to fail just so he and the right
Well,
can fail. Do you think people are bitter? Basically, a lot of bitter people.
So I can answer that question. Then
go ahead. Let you have it.
Go,
logic.
go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah,
So yeah, every election cycle there's going to be bitter people.
yeah,
Every particular time
Hmm.
of that one. That
Yeah.
that is just going to be that.
yeah.
Majority
Ooh.
of people, and I this is again it's going to sound like I'm defending everybody on this one, but off left and right will go through the phase of bitterness because their side lost. But even of that percentage, let's give it 20% of people that are bitter. Of
Mhm.
that 20%, 80% of them at one point get over it and hope that either it's going to tread water or be pretty much normal until their next term that they can go, or hope to be at least be a little bit better, or hope to be a little bit worse, so they can have a reason to have their person be on their particular side, or have the world, well, United States, on their side for their political reasons. Yes, there's going to be people that are going to be bitterer from there. There was a point, and I mean, I'm of course old enough to remember this one. When Obama
Mm.
got elected,
Boy,
Democrats were bouncing up and down, and there
boy.
were plenty of Republicans that was not. Majority of them, no,
Hmm.
that wasn't up down. They were like, damn, we would have rather have this, but there was a portion of them that be like, hopefully the next time is better. And then
Right.
literally the next election was reversed for that one. When Trump got elected, it was whew, finally I have somebody who I think represents me. And then the other side said, we're going to hell. Same
Yeah.
way. It, that happens all particular
I
election cycles.
because I look at things like we all live in this country.
Mm-hmm.
So election didn't go your way. Like you have so many people that hate Trump. Oh my god, they hate his guts. And
Yes.
to that point where I
He's
say
literally Hitler,
he's
bro. Literally
he's
Hitler.
they calling him Hitler, they all kinds of stuff. So it's like he's the president. He won, regardless of what you think about it. He's won. He's our president. At the same time, we all live in this country. People want. Why would you want him to fail?
Why
No,
that part
no.
is where I that's where I think a lot of people will disagree with me on that part. I say I don't want our country to fail. I don't care
Right?
who's
Who's in the
leading
seat?
it.
Yeah.
I do hope that it would make it overall a better beacon for United States. I would want every other particular country looking at us and say, "Hey, that's the mark that we're trying to hit as a country." And to get better, for them to get better as a country, for them to introduce an idea, for us to look at that idea and say, "Oh, that's a good idea. We should also try that in our country," and continue getting better as a world.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, just currently, tensions are so high to that point where even now majority of countries are looking at us and say, oh, well, if they want to be to themselves, don't want anybody to bother them or anything like that, fine, we can do that as well.
That's,
And it's kind of like the tension again, just in America itself. It's like people don't want to
all
have
right.
conversations with each other to get better.
All
It
right.
just
Mhm.
my
So
side won or my side lost. It's okay.
here's my thing. Can I go ahead
Oh, go ahead.
and now I'm coming from the progressive side, not moderate. We knew this motherfucker was gonna do this again. Like we absolutely knew. Like it wasn't like a question as of what he was gonna do. Like because we knew exactly what he was gonna do, how it was gonna affect us, how bad it was gonna affect us.
Hmm.
Now, when you have something as divisive for 4 years, like because it really wasn't good. We can't for some reason I don't understand. I don't know, but I don't know what y'all saw. His first 4 years was like, you know what? That was a good fucking job. Not one thing. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what was a thought of that anything that
I
he did.
I can't answer for these
W-
two, but I can guarantee you majority of people do not actually remember.
Right, and therein lies the
And the,
problem.
the reason
When
why is because of COVID.
no,
That
no,
kind
no,
of reset
but,
everybody's brain.
What?
but even before COVID, he was fucking up.
Again, people don't like I've
Well,
asked people beforehand.
whether or not it's a
But
case of people remembering or not, like I think now the argument is just kind of being reduced to like, well, I don't like that you voted for him. What did you see in him? I was like, well,
no,
Well,
what did you see
oh,
in Biden? And then
well,
oh,
now
well,
we're just
actually, hold
doing
on.
this.
Hold on for both of you. That was
go ahead,
actually a
bro. Go ahead,
comment that I wanted to make beforehand.
go ahead, bro. Yeah.
Th- I have to uh, again, oddly enough, defend this point from there. There was tension worse than I've seen before just about voting when Donald Trump became president. It was if you wore a hat, you're automatically racist, sexist, xenophobic, uh, this, that, and third.
You had people not
Immediately.
serving people in restaurants because they had on MAGA hats.
Yeah, like
I understood
That
that.
part, the only other particular time I can even try to even think of a area was that it was actually with the previous administration with Obama. It was if you walk around black, yeah, he voted for, or he or she voted for Obama, which different context, but same analogy wise on this one is
yeah,
you
you can see
don't
how
know
that
until
could
you actually.
affect somebody's voting distinction because it's like, look, if if you guys are gonna be crazy about it, I'll be crazy with you. Come on,
And
like
that's where it was like this weird thing from there. And I said it around that particular time. I know people who voted for Obama, and I know those same people who also voted for Trump. I'm not going to look at them now and be like, hey, you voted for this person. I can never talk to you again. That part is no. But
yeah,
it would ask the why. The why did you vote for this person? Did you believe that this person's viewpoints will actually be better than the, do you believe their policies? Can you recite to me their policies?
Nobody could really recite any Trump policy because he didn't give any.
again, I
Is
feel
he
like
had
that falls under like the case of
but
like,
he had concepts of he had concepts of policy for 10 years. He had concepts of policy even before he became president. And those concepts then turned into I'm just going to reshape what policies we had before and put my name on it. Now what we have again concepts of policies, but what we're going to do is turn back everything that was good that actually helped people in this country. We're going to take back, let's say, whatever that anything that was beneficial to us, and then whatever don't help the corporation. So let's say for the Better Business Bureau and for the banking. Do you know that there was a department in the federal government that it cost around I don't know 825 million, not something like that to maintain, but it saved us 121 billion as citizens. The Trump administration when they put Doge in there and they started wrecking all of these departments that actually help people, that was something that we knew was going to happen. He was going to put people in those positions that had no fucking clue what they were going to do. Just like he put in the beginning, he put Bessie DeVos in there because he knew he could get her to gut the Department of Education. He put Linda McMahon as as the head of Department of Education. Linda
That was
McMahon,
very weird.
Vince McMahon's wife.
well, I like
Somebody,
reference.
somebody,
Honestly,
somebody that
problem there.
somebody that didn't even know what AI meant. She called it A1. Let's just put that there. Head of Department of Education. Don't know what AI is. Think that A1 would be good for students. A1 education. Dan Bongino, Pete Hegseth. These people don't belong there. Come 100%, 100,000% DEI going on, but he basically said, "Oh, DEI is black people." These DEI policies. We're going to go to the Smithsonian. We're going to go to all these to the military sites and any black hero. We're going to call those medals DEI medals. Y'all remember when he called those medals DEI medals? Y'all remember that? Y'all heard that?
I heard a lot.
No.
When I hear DEI, I remember
No.
didn't earn it.
But y'all heard him saying, "Oh, these are DEI medals because they didn't deserve these medals. These black men and black women that were in the military did not deserve it. So we're going to take their medals off of the website. We're going to put DEI medal on the website 404."
Okay.
So we're going to go to the Smithsonian and then we're going to take away black history. Let's say they can't have that. No, that's DEI. Chopping down the very fabric of who we are every step of the damn way, and it goes unnoticed because of all the shit he's doing. Like you just there's this whole thing that everything there's a news cycle. He creates a different news cycle every other day. He didn't even care about Charlie Kirk. He went on to talk about his ballroom.
Yeah, a lot of people
Right?
didn't care about Charlie Kirk.
Yeah,
You know.
I get that, but the whole thing was Charlie Kirk, he was like, oh yeah, about that, yeah, whatever. I have this nice ballroom we got going on. I'm going to spend $100-something million of taxpayer money for a fucking ballroom. So we're talking about this president that we told y'all was going to do something crazy. It was going to be like this, right? The problem is there was no forward education. There was no forward thinking, no looking into what this man is about. It was just a simple fact that, oh yeah, it's Kamala, it's Democrat. We're just going to vote the other way. But now here we are, the same farmers that voted for Trump, the same farmers that did that, they are now about to lose their damn farms. You know why they're about to lose their farms? Because they have nobody to work those farms. And the tariffs in of itself are decimating us. Y'all may say, okay, well, we don't barely see those tariffs, but they see those tariffs. How much corn costs? How much, just maintaining a farm costs? Do you know how much that shit costs? Millions and millions of dollars. And now you're going to add another millions or something odd dollars of tax on top of it from a tariff that we don't need to have, the tariff that we're trying to now fight other countries. Who do you think is now going to go in those fields and work? Who do y'all think they want to go in those fields and work? It ain't white people. They thought we were going to go in the fields. You got your damn. We're not going to go in the fields and work. We're not doing that. That's not. We got degrees. Fucking, y'all thought we weren't smart, but what they're doing is now is discrediting our degrees by saying that we're DEI. They're discrediting what we do. Black pilots, black doctors. They're discrediting us. 300,000 black women within the last 3 or 4 months lost their jobs because of quote unquote DEI, because they said they were DEI. But we told y'all that this motherfucker was going to do that.
Oh, well, I understand you're upset, but
But didn't we tell you
Well,
guys?
this is what led to what we was talking about for
well,
earlier
like
about
this is kind of part of
division.
well, but
Right.
this is like part of the thing though, because it's like, okay, like, are we just gonna hear Trump bashing or
Well, no, it's not Trump bashing, but what we're saying is, okay, now we're at the point that you remember the last conversation we had,
Oh
right?
wait,
yeah?
hold on. I don't
Go
think he
ahead.
was here for that one. The next question was for the divisiveness of the country.
Yeah,
Is
Right.
this one of
This
the
is what
most
we're getting to.
divisive times?
Right, right.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm.
so the reason why it's that way for on the left is because it's like hello guys, okay? Hello. But it was like, well, fuck y'all. We don't care about your hello. So that's where the divisiveness come in at. It's like now we see everybody that wears
Really?
that red hat. Well, a part of that, yes, absolutely.
I mean,
But,
like exclusively that,
no,
or
no,
because
I said no, 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 no. It's not exclusively that. We're not going to
okay,
talk. We're not talking in exclusives here, brother.
okay, I'm just
We're,
making
we're,
sure because it's
well,
like when
we're
it
not,
comes
we're
to
not,
like
we're
the
not.
whole aspect of why someone would do something, I'm like,
No,
I think
yeah, yeah,
shitting on him for 10 years could have something to do with that,
yeah. Okay, I understand what you're
even
on,
before Trump
but
showed up.
I mean, rightfully,
Mm.
rightfully. I mean, we talk about the things that he's done. I mean, he's a career criminal. He defrauded the country. I mean, legitimately done that a couple of times over, even before he became president.
It must be really good to do all that and not get locked up for it.
No, no, he didn't get locked up for it because AKA Teflon Don, who he has, they want him to be president, brother. Like they're not going to lock him up, even though he has 34 felonies. Even though he's fraudulent, and now they're throwing those things out because who are who, who do he have appointed to throw those cases out? Who was investigating him before they threw out those cases? Doge threw out the departments that were investigating both Musk and Trump. So now,
Mm.
again, when we say that we have this anger towards conservatives because we were like, "Hey guys, this is about to happen," and you were like, "Fuck you, Dem, you lib." It's like, well,
So to bring it back to off
yeah,
that full conversation wise, it's actually a very good microcosm of this one
Mm.
yeah,
because on one side, because I agree, and this is interesting. What I agree with both sides from what your arguments are more looking to. I agree with Hassan of saying off this particular first time since Trump has been in office, it has been even more divisive because of the rhetoric and a lot of things that Trump has actually pushed in policy wise to
Mhm.
try to skew to a different viewpoint.
Mhm.
But even with that said, I can still reverse that and say since there are people who have voted for them for
Right.
Trump or for a right leaning viewpoint, they are skewed as something different that they are not, and they're being attacked for anything else. I
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
actually look at both and say, yeah, that is exactly what adds into this
Ah,
divisiveness for it.
Right.
Well, and not just that, because like for example, like the criticisms on Trump, I feel like this could be done for either president, regardless. Like you can find somebody who feels just as strongly about 8 years of Obama, or 4 years of Biden, or this
mhm.
particular
Hmm.
left leaning governor, secretary, whatever, Hillary Clinton. There's like a whole list of things that could go either way, because as far as I'm concerned,
Hmm.
you know, when it comes to Trump's second term, like I said, I'm not that happy with the progress being made, especially when in regards to a few things that he kind of led with.
Yeah.
But this can be applied to any president. They don't always get in and do exactly what you want to do.
Facts, big facts.
They may pivot here or give up a little ground here. Like, just for example, the old Epstein thing when he came out, he was like, "Hey, why
Oh
everybody
boy.
talk about Jeffrey so much?" I'm like, "Nigga,
Mhm.
that was your whole angle before
Right.
you
Right.
got in. It's the only reason I give a shit that Cash Patel. That's the only reason I even know his name.
And
Damn
actually,
Yeah.
Bongino.
and actually
Yeah.
to add on to that, when Biden was in office, it was a very big thing about student loans,
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's
forgiveness of
like
student loans. So yeah, I
any
understand what
president that get in there is gonna
Well,
have that on some level. Like we could get into like the
That's
nuances
a
here
good
and
point.
there,
And
but
I want to get in something too when you finish it. Just y'all bringing up that point. Go ahead.
yeah. So like we can get into the nuances here and there, but when we're talking about culturally, socially, this divisiveness that has many facets about it, what usually tend to highlight culturally is that you shouldn't get denigrated for someone you voted for. Like when people voted for Biden and when Biden won, I was sour about it. I had my opinions on how it turned out, but one of the posts I made, I'm like, well, here we are. I expect the same level of criticism and whatever on Biden as I did Trump. Didn't get that much in the 4 years that he did his thing, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I was breathing up his butt the entire time. For like the first 2 years, I'm like, this is ridiculous. But then after a while, I'm like, well, this sucks, but fuck it. So like,
right.
it
Right.
is what it is. Like, I ain't gonna sit here and whine for 4 entire years like I don't have my own life to get back to. Still
Mhm.
got to go to work tomorrow.
I'm
Still
I'm just,
got
I'm
to.
taking I'm personally taking advantage of corruption with
Mm.
crypto. I, I'm just trying to, you
You
know,
You
benefit in some
should.
way.
Get your money, dude. Like,
like the only thing I will say within his administration, I mean, it's easy to 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 skim crypto and easy to skim the stock market. All you gotta do is wait for him to say something,
yeah, which
and then
Hey, you know
again,
how many people
yeah.
I've heard that are anti-Trump say that? Like I benefited financially. It's been so many people I heard say benefit financially, but they hate Trump. It's weird
well,
to me.
yeah, well,
They're so
we have.
vocal about anti-Trump shit.
Well,
Well,
because
I know
because
they
of
do.
because you have to. Okay, it's either that or if I know if I do not make money now, what's going to happen after that is going to be bad because we now have inflation. Hyperinflation is on its way.
Mhm.
Uh, Due to the fact that we're now going to he's going to tell the Fed that you are going to lower the interest rates, and when you lower the interest rates right now, given the unemployment rates and given how much people are actually spending and given the tariffs, what's going to end up happening later, it's economically it's going to end up being an hyperinflation, especially when if after whoever the next president comes in, whatever happens after that, now we have to deal with COVID plus we're going to deal with what happens with the tariffs. Plus, we're going to have to deal with what happened with the now these other countries that aren't investing money into the U.S. anymore. The U.S. bonds are now are getting weaker because of they're actually sold their bonds, We have to deal with a lot of things economically afterwards. And the reason why I say I need to get my money now is because just in case I need to have X amount of money when the dollar does crash, we me making, let's say if you make 100,000 a year, and if the dollar does weaken and crash because we have BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, South Africa, and China. When we have these countries that are trying to topple the United States, right, because of um, the foreign affairs that we've been up to and how we've basically been taking advantage of and making the dollar the best or the most powerful currency. Now we're going into an area where that's not going to very much be the case. I mean, I remember years ago we were talking about Amero. But now it's BRICS, and BRICS is very much real because they're voting on it. And now it's very much real now that China, Russia, and India are now are partners. They're actually legitimately just had. They never ever in history were they together standing there, but they were just together standing there because of Donald Trump. And
I,
I'm sorry, my one last point.
mhm.
If you now, China's no longer using or buying our corn because we can't sell it anymore. We're losing market value. Our whole country is losing market value. Our dollar is weakening, and they're saying that, oh no, our dollar is stronger than ever. It's not. So now when I say I need to make as much money as I can during this corruption, I am trying to make sure that whatever happens now, 4 years after, if our dollars do crash, the money that I did make, I could take my shit and go to another country and be able to actually live some type of life. I'm not thinking about, I mean, these 3 years that we have left I'm thinking about what I can do now these next 3 years in order to survive the next 4 years after that
Mhm. Y'all
financially.
touched on something that I really want to get into because as a black person growing up, you know what I'm saying? You guys probably heard it too. Black people's relationship to politics was not always this in depth as it is now, to where people are so heavily invested.
Yeah.
And me personally, I found it weird. I grew up hearing all politicians are snakes. They their job when they're campaigning is to just sell you a bunch of, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And like you
Mm.
guys touched up on, like not all of them, every one of them pretty much has something that they didn't do that they promised that they would. But in particular, that's the game of being a politician and trying to get elected. But black people had, from what I my feeling is the reason why I followed that path is just kind of being a centrist mostly, and you got your ideology personally can lean towards certain areas,
Mhm.
but to see any black person far right, far left has always kind of been weird to me,
Yeah.
given that's always been our viewpoint.
Mhm.
Anybody else kind of feel that same way or
Yeah,
did?
well, that's why I kind of like leaning on like the cultural aspect of it, because like the first 23 years of my life has been like hardline Democrat, not because I actually care or I was like all about the politics or the policies or whatever. It's just
Right.
like politics didn't become interesting until the latter half of Obama's second term.
Right.
Hmm.
And there was a few things that were going on that affected me, because like when politics started creeping into like my escape, that's when I started getting frustrated.
Right.
I
Hmm.
think there was a law that Obama changed, something about I have to look it up, but something about legalizing propaganda on the public. And this kind of goes into what Doge was going after, the USA being one of them,
Mhm.
but it was like one of the arms of that.
Mhm.
So we've talked about it the last time we did like a podcast like this, where I was saying that this influx of stuff in gaming isn't organic. It's we're being targeted for all of this stuff.
Mhm.
The message,
Mhm.
LGBTU or uh wokeism, so to speak.
Mhm.
Because like I primarily game. That's like my main interest. And when I started
Right.
seeing this encroachment on my hobby, I was looking like, whoa, hold on, where is this coming from? And part of that, I think, was contributed to Obama legalizing propaganda in some form, which is where I think a lot of the cultural rot that we see could stem from, because USAID was found to be responsible for a lot of that propaganda that was injected into gaming. A lot of gaming journalists, there's this whole thing called Gamergate that went down. It was like ethics in journalism. This girl who barely made a game slept around with a bunch of game journalists, and they pushed her game to the top. It was barely even considered a game. It was called Depression Quest, some stupid shit. But she slept around, and of course, when you think as a journalist, you're like, wait a minute, that's corruption. That's not right. You can't do that. But it was in gaming, and it was in a lot of the main gaming journalism spheres that we know of, G Spot, IGN, all these places, because they started pushing certain games. And that's when we learned, regular people, gamers, we started learning that companies are paying, they weren't influencers at the time, but for lack of a better word, influencers, to spread good press, spin good, whatever about a game. So now the games that we see aren't even being legitimately reviewed. They're not being reviewed legitimately. They're not real. And so when regular people started, finding out about the stuff, digging into it, like who's Nathan Grayson, who's Zoe Quinn, what does this have to do with it? Where did Anita Sarkeesian come from? We got all these questions. And so hit piece after hit piece from all these major game publications, Kotaku being one of the main ones, started shitting on gamers. And of course, this takes all of us by surprise, because like literally a year ago, we were just like, all right, I'm gonna go to IGN and get the scoop on the latest game, because that's all I actually care about. And so that was kind of where it snowballed into politics for me, because I saw where this stuff was kind of coming from. It pointed to one of the, laws that Obama altered during this time, because around that time he was talking about pushing for this voluntary detention bill, which is, like, hey, whoa, where's this coming from? And then that ties to another thing. This is kind of off topic, but related. There's a bill being pushed around in Senate by Marco Rubio, where they're talking about if you criticize Israel, you lose your ability to leave the country.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know what it is about this fucking country, but they come off as a parasite, in my opinion. I don't hate Israel. I don't have a problem with Jews. I don't care. But when every little thing that happens, and this, regardless of Republican or Democrat president, doesn't matter either, because both of them are like, Israel is the GOAT, man.
I can't stand it. I don't understand that one, bro.
Yeah, and again, I'm just regular dude. I don't know the relationship here. I look into APAC and they get a shit ton of money. I'm like, well, what kind of relationship is this to where now you're talking about drafting up bills where we can't criticize them? Because I'm like, last time I checked, this was America. We could talk shit about anyone and anything, regardless. That's kind of the whole gimmick of America: free speech. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I kind of know why the Israel thing, and I could circle back to that after a second. But go ahead, bro. Cook. You keep cooking.
Yeah. So like,
because we're all in agreement on this part.
Oh, we're 100% agreeing. Yeah. Keep cooking.
Yeah. And so like, the more I kind of learned about it, that's when I started looking into okay, I'm like, well, and this is one of the theories when it comes to Charlie Kirk, because it's loosely related, that I won't say I believe it, but I do give it a good because the timing is everything in some cases, and it's like it just so happened because there was this whole back and forth between Charlie Kirk and Nick Fuentes, where a lot of Kirk's positions started to slowly mirror that of Nick, because Nick has been a lifelong critic of Israel and the Jewish power and all that stuff. Like, he talks about it endlessly. And so when it was one of these days, I decided to let me do some research. I'm gonna look into what is his deal with Israel, because it can't just be he hate Jews because Jews, man. So I did some of that, and I noticed a lot of the talking points that he had, Charlie Kirk was slowly dipping into. And not to sidetrack it off of that, but I share in that criticism of Israel, because it seems like this country has too much of a hand in what it is we do. Like, and just to speak on the Gaza war, I disagree with it. I disavow it. I think it's unnecessary. The amount of pushback that Israel is doing as a result of October 7th is completely one-sided. It's like, your neighbor's kid kicking and leaving a scuff mark on your door, and then it's like you pulling out an RPG and just completely decimating the house. And it's like, kids lived in there, right? It's like, yeah, we don't care. I'm not a fan of Netanyahu. I think his involvement with our country is beyond frustrating, because for as long as I've been alive, he's been talking about Iran and the bomb, Iraq and the bomb. And, of course, we've lost untold amount of money and manpower. A lot of Americans died fighting wars for a country that, I'm like, if this country is so important, then I should have been indoctrinated at some level, at some point, to be like, yeah, man, Israel the best, man. Don't ask me why. I don't know. That's just the right. When I say the Pledge of Allegiance, Israel's in there somewhere. So, and I'm like, well, that's not the case. As far as I'm concerned, Israel is a country on the other side of the planet, but for some reason, every time I hear Israel, we're right behind them. And to kind of go back to what I said about my issues with Trump, the amount of bending, twisting, kissing, pulling out chairs for Netanyahu, I'm like, yeah, something's up here. I don't like it, because when I voted for Trump, I voted for Trump for America, not for this guy who I don't know, who I don't care about, this country I don't care about. But it's very suspicious how a lot of the power and influence tends to come from a specific group of people, and it all ties back to Israel. And just to kind of, just wrap this up on like the gaming thing.
No, you good, bro.
When it comes to like, Obama changing that policy in regards to propaganda, I think that is kind of what's responsible on some level for a lot of the discourse, or the issues when it comes to our culture, when people we're so at each other's throats because we've been artificially inundated with this rhetoric to be for this or against that, because countries like China, CCP, they're like that. Stalin's Joseph Stalin's Russia, or even Nazi Germany, Hitler, where it's just like, yeah, you're not allowed to have a different opinion. This is what you do. You believe it like this, and that's the bottom line because so and so said so. And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of that has to do, kind of comes back from that policy. And most people didn't know about it back then. It was like between 2008 and 2016. So when that policy went into effect, I don't know, but I remember hearing about it, and then I believe seeing some of the ramifications of it, because when USA got burned by Doge, that came out. They were like, yeah, there was a lot of pushing for certain things, like a lot of it was they were talked about was like, oh yeah, we need like gay Muppets in Pakistan teaching PBS. I'm like, what the fuck? That's a waste of money, whatever. But within all those files that they uncovered, a portion of it did mention game influences in the video game industry and entertainment. So that's my suspicion. I'm not saying that it's fact. I pulled up some of it at a point, but yeah, I'm off my soapbox now.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of bring it back full circle. That's why
I was just about to answer your other question.
Oh, go ahead, Brandon. Yeah, go ahead.
So for me, of understanding how just the Black diaspora itself leaned into and then leaned away from, for me personally, that for some people who know and others who don't, myself and my family were affected by Hurricane Katrina. We got displaced and got moved to Memphis, Tennessee, and which that's what started the rest of the point of my life. But through that, I had to hear from policies from other people, from multiple different ways of how things working. Even though I'm young enough to understand some political aspects, I wasn't old enough to fully understand, and my mother and father had to pretty much explain to me what certain things meant. So if what did FEMA mean in this context, or what does this? Because I was thinking, of course, being from Gulfport, Mississippi, and Biloxi, Mississippi, I'm thinking I'm born on an Air Force base, so I'm thinking military should be the one that helps with this. So why are they helping out? And then figure out more information from there. And then, of course, going through our own personal issues with insurances, with FEMA, with more things from there. I was looking for answers to say, wait, so all my friends, family, and people who are affected with this are not being this, but then hearing other people be told, oh, well, you was part of Hurricane Katrina, you got a FEMA check, you got that. So then it took me to have to try to explain to people my own experience, what I saw from presidents and from policies at that time, and how that's affecting myself, or how that's affecting my family, or how that didn't affect me or my family, or anything like that. And that showed me, okay, I probably need to get into politics a little bit more.
Mhm.
A little bit later on, going through South Haven High School and more things like that, I heard this little thing called No Child Left Behind,
Oh boy.
That may
wondering how
happen.
that would affect me and understanding from that. And in my graduation year, 08 at that, well, it's going to be 2007 at that time, but because I was going to graduate early, hearing that a lot of my uh, colleagues unfortunately can't pass a standardized test that none of us were prepared for, because in Mississippi they don't teach you stuff, unfortunately.
Mhm.
But we wasn't ready for a standardized test. A lot of them that were making straight A's, B's, high passing grades had to get held back a year just because they failed this particular standardized test.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it
Mhm.
just snowballed. And I said, wait a minute, that's not fair. Why does this standard have to meet with this? Oh, okay, so United States itself needs to get to a standard. Okay, that's
Mhm.
fine. But then finding out, just again, Mississippi, Louisiana, a lot of southern states are on the low totem pole of education.
Boy.
I say, wait a minute. So what funding are they going to help with this? What are
Mhm.
they going to do to assist with this? Okay, you see that we're dumb. How are you going to assist with us being dumb? And for them at that time, which oddly enough is happening again, they was like, well, you know what you need? You need the Bible
Boy.
in schools. And saying, okay, that's not
I got something to
helping
say
with my
about that, boy.
education. That's helping
Boy.
with my religion. But even with that, that baby said at that time, what if somebody else doesn't believe in the same thing I believe in?
Exactly.
Why are you forcing this? Because
Exactly.
that's what you're not helping with this. And at that
Exactly.
time, again, this is again a full circle. At that time, at the high school I was in, there were plenty of people who was able to afford lunches, but then their
Mhm.
free lunch program went on and then off and then on and then off, and then noticing
Mhm.
other schools having the same issue. And I was like, wait a minute, okay, so what affects this? And then it got to local, then it went to higher and higher and higher from there. So at that point, then I was like, okay, I need to at least pay attention enough politically to say, okay, this is right, this is wrong, locally or for the nation itself. But then I've noticed a lot of my friends. I have a lot of black friends, a lot of white friends, but I notice a lot of my black friends don't really care about that as much. They would just complain about the problem instead of even asking about a solution or even from there. And their parents would also did the same thing. But then my other friends, their parents are into it, but the kids are not. And then my other friends, the kids are into it and the parents are into it. I was like, wait, all of us should be into this one. We all should be understanding that if a superintendent is doing this action, we should be able to say, no, get out. We can get a new superintendent. It was fine. But then when I asked just people in my area, I was like, hey, do y'all even know who our mayor is? No. Do you know who
This
any
nigga picked
judges?
you up.
Like, do you know anything? No. Do you know who the president is? Yes. Okay, well then now I see where the problem divide was. So just at that time it was I learned it, but then slowly the
What
years
is
later just had to start educating other people on getting into it a little bit more and more that look like me.
Bro, hold on, I'm sorry, bro. What the fuck is happening on the screen right now?
I don't know. He's playing Dead by Daylight, and I had to look away and to try to focus on what I'm saying because I'm like,
I'm
he got
sorry, bro. I was
hooked.
with you, but you just got carried away and hooked, and I
Right,
was
he got hooked
trying.
bad too.
Fine. I was like, "So what's happening to my boy? Get his ass beat up." All right, I'm with you, bro. But yeah, man. Yeah, I'm 100% with you, dog. Yeah, my, I will say this. My mom was a Black Panther, so we just go ahead and just full stop. I'm from Chicago. Mom was a Black Panther. I'm dealt
Mm,
with, yeah. So I done dealt with. See, my name is, my name Hassan. So I was born Muslim. I was raised Muslim.
mm,
Nation of Islam. I'm talking about Louis Farrakhan, Muhammad. I was raised Muslim.
Mm.
Um, so I was automatically coming up. I was in politics when I was a kid. Even my grandmother, she was Christian. I was raised Muslim and Christian, so I have both different values coming
mm,
up. I understood what happened with Reagan. I understood what happened with the crime bill. See, the 1994 crime bill came around. My cousin got killed by the police. Well, actually, it was my brother. So this was 1994. I've experienced all the stuff that's happening today that most people wouldn't want to happen, but I experienced that. And he legitimately, like my brother, he was in my face one day up here breakdance with me, teaching me how to breakdance one day. The next day he got killed by the police, right? And during that time, I mean, we had. I mean, I've been around since Reagan, essentially. Uh, you
mm,
know, and I knew politics, but I knew politics from a point of view of, I wouldn't say oppression, but I knew politics from a point of view of not even radical, but from a yeah. You see that shit? I don't know, dude.
I'm just sorry. I
Bro,
just
that's
hear you
what
talking, and I hear.
I'm saying. You happy, your ass? What game is this?
It's
Dead
Dead
What is
by
by
this?
Daylight.
Daylight.
Yeah, my daylight. Good grief.
It's the perfect time.
Right, every time around, boy, getting slapped up, hung on something. Who is that dude? Is that dude that's hanging you? Is that somebody that's hanging you, like an actual player from the
Yeah,
other
that
team?
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's wrecking y'all. But oh yeah, so I came from looking at, from the point of view of like, all right, what's happening with the society and how is it affecting the society of itself, and how is it affecting us as a people. So most importantly, of black people.
Mm,
I've watched the crime bill. I've watched the people because I was around where you have a pullover. I had a Charlotte Hornets pullover. I almost got clapped for it. I had to give it up. You know what I'm saying? I'm 10. I mean, I'm what? How old was I? I was 11 years old. Had a Charlotte Hornets pullover. About to get clapped for a Charlotte Hornets pullover.
So I got a question for you then.
My mom was like, okay, we need to do something about this crime. This crime is crazy. This crime is crazy. At the same time, what happened after that was even worse. How many people that are locked up because of that fucking crime bill?
Ooh, I got a
I've
question for
watched.
you, Hassan.
Yeah. I got answers. What's up?
So, given it and your history,
Oh,
and like a problem with the crime bill, as
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah, yeah.
as it entails, why do you consider yourself Democrat?
I don't consider myself. I know. I voted Democrat. I'm a
Yeah.
Okay,
progressive.
I
so you're
think you
not a
like
Democrat.
you're
Yeah,
more
I,
like
I voted.
moderate, but not for any
No, no,
particular
no,
side.
no, no, no. Progressive. Progressive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Progressive.
I'm a left leaning progressive. However, I have some conservative value when it comes down to money because I gotta have it, baby. I understand capitalism, and I understand you need money in order to do certain things. You need money in order to live this life. You need to, you
Hmm.
gotta have certain things. I am not conservative by any way because I'm an atheist. I
Hmm.
don't fuck with all that over there. Again, I was raised a Muslim and Christian. Let go of both because I actually started reading what they were talking about. I read the Quran. Right, I have four. I have four Qurans. I have six Bibles, one red letter Bible. I have the Bhagavad Gita. I have a Torah. I have the Book of Enoch. I have the Hadiths. I have
You got
all
the
the
time,
Hadiths.
got the
I
Talmud.
have yeah, I have that. I have the Book of the Dead. I have the
Mm.
actual like the Old Testament in of itself, nothing else but the Old Testament. I have all this, read them all, and I've come to one conclusion: it's man made. So with me doing that, and I realized that most of that was political, and now it's political then, it's political now, and how I was raised, it was like to okay to better answer your question. You want basically want why would I vote for Biden? Biden.
Not even so much
Yeah,
Biden. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
where
I,
I
I'm,
come from,
I'm, 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 I'm gonna give you the reason why Biden. I'm gonna give you the reason why Biden.
it's not so much who you vote for.
Mhm.
It's that's why I was trying to bring it back full
Yeah,
circle
yeah,
by
yeah.
bringing it with black people in our relationship to politics,
Right, right.
because essentially how we treated politicians. What I find weird is that today so many and yourself included at times have so much passion, and not even just really to call you anti-Trump,
Mhm,
but just with this whole political climate today. Whereas when me growing up, black people we
mhm.
handled all politicians as if they were snakes. You
But
don't know which one's poisonous, but you don't want to get bit by one of them to find out which one.
but you don't want me to, am I allowed to say where you from or in the state
Oh,
itself?
you good? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. In Memphis, in Memphis, the
Memphis is
politicians that you
city,
had,
state is Tennessee.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Tennessee, my
And
bad.
It's okay, but Memphis is definitely its own, so I understand
Right, right, right. So the whole state, Nashville,
all of them.
all of it, all of it. Growing up, the politician that you had over there were absolute garbage. It's so and it's not like they really cared so much about any of the black cities or any of the cities in Tennessee that had a majority population of black people. They don't care about y'all now, which is the reason why they have those AI factories that's poisoning South Memphis right now.
Hmm. Right.
And they're going to make another factory that's going to poison mid Memphis, right? Middle Memphis. They're going to poison, and they're only putting them in black communities where they have these turbines that's running the XAI factories,
Hmm.
and they just so happen the people that I want to point something out. I hate to be the guy, but do you know that the EPA was like, okay, you can't have those, but then Doge came and said, no, yes, we can, and now they can because of those restrictions that they had before. They again then wiped out the entire department that were putting restrictions on your breathing. Right? They were putting restrictions and making sure you guys can breathe. But now it's gone because of said person. Right. So they have been shitting on your entire state, especially around the black folks. Okay. The entire time. Right. So if you want to look at the rich side where all the good old boys live at. Nothing's going on over there. They got the best water. The air quality over there is fan fucking tastic. The food there's the streets are cleaner. All of that. The white Tennesseans are benefiting while the black Tennesseans are dying.
Hmm.
I don't fucking like that. I hate it with a passion because I know who did it. Okay. Same
Okay.
thing about what happened in Wisconsin. Well, I grew up in Milwaukee. I grew up in Milwaukee. Milwaukee, we had Mayor Norquist, a white dude. Even though Wisconsin was Republican, Milwaukee was Democrat. And what Mayor Norquist did, he defined the governor and said, "No, we're not going to do that. What are you talking about? We're not going to make these people suffer." He basically brought up Milwaukee as a city. It's shit now, absolute trash. You hear about the Kill Boys and all that, but when I was growing up, it was actually nice. It was a good place to live. So I say that to say this. The only reason why I am like, again, I was raised political. And the reason why I was raised political is because I knew the importance of how a vote can actually change and affect the entire everything around me. I wasn't raised like that. I was raised to actually to make sure that I voted for the people.
Hmm.
What is going to make what's going to help the people? I have never, not once, heard anything from a Republican that was going to help the fucking people. All they've done, as long as I've been alive, the 42 years I've been walking this earth, has been to destroy and hurt people. Unfortunately, but the thing about it is, it's easy for somebody to say, "Oh, well, these Democrats want to hurt people. They want to, they do all this stuff." But then you look at the actual thing of it all. The actual, what have they been doing? They deregulate these places and they dump their poison into our water. Michigan was destroyed, decimated, right, with their water. Mississippi, the water in Mississippi is tragic. In Jackson, most of the poorest places in the United States of America were ran by Republicans. But yet, when still we want to just vote for these people. So I voted against them people because my people, I give so much of a fuck about them. I care so much about them. I would much rather, if I knew that Biden and Strom Thurmond created the fucking crime bill. I knew that. I knew that I hated Biden. I hate that nigga. I never liked Biden. I was a Bernie. I voted for Bernie. I was with Bernie, but then I saw him and I saw Trump, and I'm like, fuck. I have to now choose between Biden and Trump. I know what Trump's going to do, but I know what Biden's going to do.
Hmm.
What am I going to do? Who is going to be better for my people? That's the way I vote. And that's the
That's
reason
how
why
we
I've been
should vote,
political.
and that's how
Yeah,
we should vote.
that's the way
Yeah.
I've been politicized my entire life. Like,
Right.
the reason why, because I had to pay attention to politics because it affects our lives. Every day that we walk this earth, some white man affects our lives. I just have to pick the right white man that won't fuck us up too much.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, I knew who was going to fuck us up too much, and we're
Well,
here now. You know what I
well,
mean?
I'll definitely say this. I gained a little bit of understanding in you.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. I mean, my standpoint personally
Uh-huh.
came from the the divisiveness that black people, us, we have.
Mhm.
We're arguing about and jumping on these sides, and we're fighting each other when we have enough infighting going on. To be quite honest, and last thing we need is to be fighting over. Let's keep it real. This is how we always looked at them. It's a bunch of old rich white people who we don't know,
Don't
right?
know for shit.
We don't need to be. That's what they are,
Mhm.
fighting over them who don't care about us. But we're so, so many black people, you see it online and everything, so passionate about them to where we're fighting each other. And
Right.
I don't know. I've always had a mindset of us as black people. We need people on each side to be able to have these conversations and figure out the best route for us in a perfect world. So you
Yeah.
wouldn't fight somebody, a black person you see in the Republican camp, because we need eyes over there, just like
Mhm.
we need eyes over Team Blue to see
Mhm.
what they're
Mhm.
doing. Because all in all, we need to be for us. That
And
has
that's fair.
always been my mindset.
That's fair.
Yeah,
That's
I,
fair.
I agree with that as well.
I have
There
One
a
thousand
there
percent
needs to
fair.
be room no matter what, and I always still advocate for this. There needs to be room for comfortable conversations when it comes with even conservative and liberal, progressive ideas. Of if you want to have a black man be one and then the other, that's perfectly fine. From there, they're able to sit
Right.
down and be like, okay, we can have discourse and say,
yeah.
I understand you're trying to do what's best for the country, no matter
Right.
what. I
Right.
Mhm.
know that bare minimum. Now,
Right.
the things that you're doing, do you see this might be hurting this or you might be hurting that? Okay, fine. If we're able to have that full conversation, that's the reason why I think a lot of people like having a conversation with me when it comes to things like this, because I'll be able to sit and listen to your policy proposal understand that and understand how that's going to go, but then not castrate you. I can actually probably say, okay, yeah, that will work right here, but this won't work. What will have to do with this? So
Mhm.
instead of me just saying, no, you suck, you're Republican, you just want to build a stupid wall and that's it. I'm like, okay, you're actually having an immigration issue. Okay, fine. Would it be better for us to get more judges? Would it be better for us to put more money to this one and stop funding certain other particular aspects of this one instead of sending more money out the country to actually invest inside? Is that what you're actually saying? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, then we got an agreement. Let's
Mhm.
get to that point instead of, well, we're still stuck on this one point over
Right.
and over and
Mhm.
over and over and bashing our heads into this one, and then started building up some type of resentment or hate for
Mhm.
another side, for somebody just saying, "Oh no, I just want to make sure that our country is safe." That's the
Right.
reason why I brought it up in the first place.
I
Right.
do.
But it
I do.
in the, oh, go ahead, go ahead.
I do have a question. Like Elon floated this idea for like a minute before he kind of, I don't know if he flipped on it or conveniently forgot, but it was around the time he got booted from Doge and him and Trump were kind of beefing, and
Right.
he started floating the idea of a third party. Now, I don't think I too much like a third party, coined by Elon, but I do not mind the idea of a third party to, change things up for what I think is better. So I kind of want to get y'all opinion
Right. So
on
we
a
we we
third
do
party.
have that. We
Yeah.
have Green Party. We have Libertarian Party. We have
Well,
the
yeah, I know, but I
yeah.
mean, like, functionally, let's just, just for the sake of a hypothetical, let's say we have an opportunity to go all in for a
I will
third party.
1000% do.
So I think this is exactly what I was saying with earlier, and this is actually what I believe in this as well. There are people that like to have this idea to say, "Oh, we should have another voice at the table besides Republican and Democrat, and
Yeah.
that's it."
Mm.
I think as a nation, majority of all of us actually agree with that. It
Yeah.
should
Well, yeah.
be
Hell yeah.
in the debates, not just two people on stage
Mhm.
after they get their nominees, Republican and Democrat, and that's it. It should
Mhm.
be every particular party that should be from there. It should be a threshold, of course, but that threshold shouldn't be so high where
I
it's
mean,
only backed by the Republican and Democrats just to get there. It should be anybody
it's
who's able
it's
to get
it's
there.
rough. It's rough for a third party, man. You got to have
Yeah.
5% of the vote for just to even get up there.
It
You
Mm.
gotta
should
have
be
at
a
least
point of a
2 million people.
threshold, but it
Yeah.
shouldn't be like for me personally, I don't think that it should be a more popularity contest because let's say The Rock says I want to run for president. People are like, yeah, I'm gonna vote for you. What's his policy? I don't know. All right, well then we don't need
He's
to have a
gonna
conversation.
do a rock bottom to the competition.
Right. That no, but I actually do believe countries even like Canada, where they have multiple on that stage, but like, hey, you have to defend your ideas no matter what. Like the way we do our, you know, our caucuses and stuff like that first, great. But I believe that also should be transported over. So I believe that we should have a main candidate, yes. But I
I,
also believe even with that standard, it should be top two candidates of each party and then two from another particular party. It could be one from the Tea Party, one from Green Party, one from any particular party, but it has to be still representative. So I believe six representatives altogether should be that on stage.
I think and it's good. That was a good question. I think that honestly, the third party should actually have equal footing as Democrat and Republicans.
Yeah.
The reason why they
Mhm.
won't do that because I mean, Democrat, they'll lose power immediately because most people would vote third party. I would.
Yeah,
Good.
I think a lot of people would.
I would. I would.
Everybody's sick of
Bro,
both of them.
like
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
had if I knew if I knew that my vote wasn't going to get thrown, like I mean, because vote for Jill Stein or you know what I mean, or Joe Jorgensen the last
Yeah.
time, I mean, or you know, it's one of those things where that you're going to be one of 17,000 votes because for the most part people are going to they know that it's going to be Democrat or Republican. The last time we even had somebody even touch it was Ross
Mhm.
Perot, right?
It was
The
who?
the last time we had anybody close as an independent even touched, even sip that was Ross Perot,
Mm.
and that was like I don't know what year was that. Um, shit, that was in like 2004
I was about to say in our lifetime.
in our lifetime.
I know
Yeah.
that part. Don't
Yeah.
remember which
I'm
election.
like, I
Uh,
don't even recognize that name.
yeah, it was No, I'm sorry, no, it wasn't two. That was 1992. I'm my bad. That was 92.
Mhm.
1992 was the
I
last
was
time we
about
had.
to say, I was about to say, I don't think it was 2000s, but
No,
it might be.
no, it was 1992. My bad. I was off, way off. But 1992 was the last time we had anybody, and he ran close enough, right? Close
Santa
enough.
Claus got more votes than Jill Stein.
You see what I'm saying,
More people wrote in Santa Claus
bro? You
than
know how many
voting
people? You
for
know how many
Jill
people wrote
Stein.
in? You know how many people wrote in Kanye? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of people wrote in Kanye.
Well, since you brought him up, I'm kind of curious. What was your position on that when he was talking about running? Like,
That was some bullshit.
I was laughing.
you don't think he would have made
Hell no.
I
Go out here,
said
nigga.
if he actually runs, I was like, I'm going to treat you just as a politician. I'm not going
Mm-hmm.
to treat you as a musician first. I'm
Mm-hmm.
treating you as a politician. Hey, what
Bro,
is your
what's
belief
happening
on
here?
this? What is your belief on this? Okay,
Mm-mm.
then after
do
that,
you
then
even
I could be
have
like,
a belief on this?
right, if you
Man,
don't have a belief on this, or this, or this, I can't vote for you just because you made the graduation.
Yeah, who
boy.
was a Aleppo guy? I remember that being like a thing. He was a third part. I think he was third, but I think he was the libertarian guy.
Mhm.
But they were asking him about Aleppo, and I think that was a city somewhere in the Middle East, I think. But I remember he got clowned because he didn't know what it was. He was like, "What's
Mm.
Aleppo? I don't know what that is."
Gary Johnson.
Yeah,
Gary
Mm.
Johnson.
yeah.
That's that nigga. That's who that was.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "It's not too good, man. Like, it's okay for me to not know what it is, but I don't know
Yeah.
about you, man."
You're not supposed to not know that, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just as far as like the third part. Like, what do you think would have to happen? Do you think we're at the mercy of some well-known celebrity in order to get a third-party
Yes.
thing going, or like
Right
what?
now, we're in a day and age right now that it has to be because even with
Yeah.
ideas, it's going to
Mhm.
be great, but you have to have some type of more backing behind that one. It was actually even said earlier that more media is more Democrat leaning. Even with that, if there was
Mhm.
somebody who came out and had actually great ideas and was just barely known, they wouldn't get the publicity that they need to get to the point for they can beat a Democratic person. They wouldn't. People wouldn't allow that. Like,
I actually I would like to push back a little bit on that. Um, the media is not Democrat leaning, guys. I hate to be the bearer of
It
bad news and
really is. I'm sorry. It
so,
really is.
okay,
Well, why do you
you
think that?
allow okay,
Okay,
allow
yeah,
me to say that.
yeah.
Fox, okay,
Okay, yeah, that's
Newsmax,
one.
mhm,
It's two.
OANN,
Okay.
OAN. You got Blaze.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Alex Jones. What's his shit? Infowars.
Infowars.
I'm gonna just
You
let you know
have
now.
wait. You have
If
Turning
you want
Point.
a big bank, little
Wait, you
bank
have
between these two,
wait.
that's a losing
You have,
battle.
okay, you
don't
have
don't.
Turning Point. You have Turning Point USA. Prager U. You have
Mm-hmm.
Breitbart.
Hmm.
You have again. I just named off 8 that were massive. And mind you, guys, mind you, all here, mind you, majority of this country is white. 270 million, 260 million of them. All right,
Hmm.
we're spec compared to it. They consume that. When we look at
Of course,
if when we really
people go ahead.
truly look at
Yeah.
when we truly look at the left wing, let's look at left wing. We have CNN, MSNBC, uh, and
It's
they
not
and
just news. I just want
wait,
to
wait
put that in there too.
yeah, okay, cool. But we have that. We have let's say You have
CBS.
your Breakfast Club, CBS, and then but you have BBC is from overseas. That's across the pond. But then you have let's say you have PBS. PBS has taught every last one of us in this damn thing here at least ABCs because that's where Sesame Street comes from. Nova, things that educated us, right? NPR educates us, right? But they want that to go away. They want us to keep up with the opinions. Okay, the fact that we have how many people from Fox News in office right now should be a testament that the right wing media has had really honestly a chokehold on this country for a long time. You guys may have a personal point of view about it, but let's look at really what's factual. If you look at how many
I can rebuttal to that. It was factual.
I was about to say I'm letting you cook right now, but
Yeah.
again, and I hate saying it this way, if you want a big bank, little bank from the media wise of right leaning versus left leaning, you named a lot, and I could actually even name even more from there as well.
yeah.
I can
But
also name
well,
just off the top.
I want y'all to name me. Let's say name me about okay that are front and center.
Is
We could do
Okay,
but front and center. Give me. I just named off eight quick ones. Okay, name me. But that are not media. A medium. Okay, you got to understand. You guys call it left leaning. We also have
Mm.
to understand some when you have middle bias. That's not left leaning. That's
no,
moderate. And moderate in this country is right
yeah.
leaning.
We
BBC wouldn't count from that one. USA Today wouldn't count because they're both centrist. The Wall Street Journal's
We have to
also
look at well, okay, and then we have to look at how many centrist media. 'Cause we can't mix them into
Oh, I
left
wasn't
leaning.
going to count them at all. I could
Yeah,
still go off the top of my head at least name 10.
I'm gonna let
give
him
me.
go. Go ahead, Brandon. I'm gonna go behind you because it's deeper than just news networks.
Oh, right. That's where I was like, that's not the best angle. I know what you're saying, but that's not the best angle that you want right
No,
now.
well, okay. Then we also okay. Then okay, not just media. All right, fine. How many right leaning? How many right leaning? Not just media for right leaning. How many right leaning in the judicial system do we have? Hmm? How many how many Republican court appointed judges do we
So
have?
so
No,
you're changing it. So you
no, no,
must
no, no,
be
no, 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 no,
conceding
no, no.
to
I'm asking.
left wing, left owning
I'm
media.
asking. I'm asking a question about right leaning shit in this country,
No, no,
basically.
no. That wasn't the purpose of that one. It was saying off to get to the back from that one is if we have a central or a third party, just go for back to third party, a
Yeah,
third
yeah, yeah.
party candidate from that one. Let's just take it off of just off front. You have
Right.
Republican, you have Democrat, and let's say we have the People's Party. Let's do that one. Let's do that idea
Cornell,
of the People's Party.
because that was Cornell.
Right. Perfectly off that one. Let's say, let's just say they have a debate. And let's say the People Party win that debate. How many news networks are you really thinking are going to just say, yes, that team won? How many Republican or Democrat ones do you believe off that one? Do you believe Fox News is going to admit this?
Uh,
CNN? Do you believe the NPR, US Today, like the
so,
Blaze, like
so we have
own
Associated
network?
Press, we got Business Insider, CNN, and then Natural. So we got one, two, three, four, one, two, three, four. We got
I'm
Centrist. So we have a little bit more. Okay, but in we're talking about the overall,
I'm just talking about
overall.
TV networks, print, and radio. I haven't even got to YouTube yet.
And
Oh, YouTube,
movies.
YouTube,
Man,
YouTube,
everywhere that
we're
you can
done.
have your propaganda, the left leaning propaganda. That's why I keep trying to. I'm waiting on you to touch on. It's like it's deeper than news networks.
In the movies, I mean, we have. Okay, I mean, honestly,
It's
if you look
all kinds of
at movies,
media.
we got
Democrats have a stranglehold on.
So
Sylvester
so
Stallone, we
let's
got John
let's
Voight, we got Bora Bora, we got Mel Gibson, we got Dean Cain, Kurt Russell, we got Kevin Sorbo, we got Kid Rock, we got We
Hold on,
got
hold
a
on.
lot of those
E-
are
With that even being said,
Drew
now
Carey,
let's now
Adam
reverse this
Sandler,
conversation. You do realize even for the right leaning and more right leaning
Chuck
Republicans,
Norris is right
they
leaning.
look at Hollywood as the devil, baby worshippers. There's nobody that's going to grow to
plenty of
be
them
the
got
front facing.
fired for being right leaning. I'm like, that's Hollywood. All of Hollywood left.
That's
Well,
that's what
no,
I'm saying. I was like, so
no.
there's nobody going to be the actual front face from there. There's going to be
They,
front facing for others, of course.
they got fired because okay, some people, most people, okay, if you look at what they get fired for. They get fired for an opinion that is disruptive as fuck. If you sit up there, like okay, let's say Mel
Freedom of
Gibson,
speech.
he sat there, and said, freedom of speech, yes, absolutely, freedom of speech, freedom of speech. I realize I've come to grips with something like, and I realize something now
Freedom of speech
because
doesn't stop you from
right,
freedom of
right, right,
consequence.
because right now because the whole thing is about Charlie Kirk, right.
Mhm.
You've seen people online celebrating like they can't. I'm glad that they doing, but guess what happened? The freedom of speech don't matter. The freedom of speech only matters when you guys think it's for you. But now when it's okay to get hundreds of people fired from them jobs, right? For
I got
saying
something
that
to say. I got a rebuttal.
People got
for
fired on the right for less, infinitely less, for the past 10 years.
like,
Yes.
okay, and they got fired on the left for shit too, right?
For
No.
shitting on
They
a
just
dead
now,
man.
to be real,
No,
they
no,
just
no,
now
no,
started getting
no,
fired.
no, 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 no. For you, okay. The thing about that, you get fired for talking about Israel. Again,
Yeah.
you get fired for talking about Israel. Israel's another country
And people
that
get
has.
fired for talking about gays.
Okay, those are people that are living next to you. Like you
Yeah.
have people that live next to you. You sit there and say you should not be here. You should not. You are an abomination. You should not
Not,
be here. Wait.
no,
Time out.
no, not
When
even
you
that extreme.
wait,
Not
wait,
even
wait.
that extreme, Hassan.
I'm saying, like, no, this is what we're saying. Like, when you tell somebody that they're not even supposed, from a Christian point of view, you tell people, you know what, you're an abomination. You're not supposed to be here. You are supposed to die, and when you do die, you're going to go to hell. You tell somebody that. Go ahead.
Listen,
You
not
tell
that
somebody that.
extreme. No,
Or
just
So
saying I don't agree, or just saying stuff
no, well,
like,
no. I
"Hey,
say
I'm not comfortable
I've
with my
never seen.
kids
I've never.
learning about anything sex, but when they're 5 or 6
Can
years
y'all?
old."
Can y'all? I want y'all to show me somebody that got fired and just said, I don't agree with you being gay. I want to see that. I personally, I have not seen that. But
Well,
what I
didn't
have,
Gina
but what?
Carell, didn't she get fired for like not, being in lockstep with that? This is back with the Mandalorian. I think she's the
Right,
one
right,
that it
Yeah,
wasn't
she got
yeah.
recent.
fired from the Mandalorian.
Yeah. And I don't think she said anything like hateful. I think it was more so like I
Nope.
don't agree with the
Exactly.
way
She
things are
did.
going. Then they wrote her
so
character off and killed her in the
here's
in the show.
where it's just, I think we'll get that common ground. I don't believe personally that people should be fired or have the
No,
full
I feel that.
consequences for set of actions of freedom of speech.
Mhm.
But with that being said, I also have to agree with the fact that if a private organization wants to do whatever they particularly want from there, I can't really do anything from that part. So if somebody gets fired from their job just because they say, you know what, I don't like gays, and they get fired for that one, I can't use that as a political point because
She
that
said. I mean,
it's
she said.
own.
She said some bullshit. Being Republican today is like being Jewish during the Holocaust.
Well, again,
Like, what kind of goofy ass shit?
again,
You
even
scared
though
That's
I
idiot.
leaning
I
in
mean,
what
when
we're
you feel
talking
Okay,
like you're
about,
being
though.
targeted, I mean,
let's
hold
say
on,
that. Let's say
hold
that.
on,
Like,
hold on.
let's say
Even
that's
with
goofy.
that, that
I
is
don't I
still
don't I
its
don't agree with
own
her being
private right.
fired, but
I
let's
don't
let's
agree
let's
with
go
it,
ahead
but
and
that's
say
its
that
own
shit, you
private.
idiot.
Same way if somebody says something about Israel and get fired, I personally like they shouldn't be fired for that. But if that organization says, "Hey, we're letting them go because of that," they let them go because of that. We understand we live, especially in the South, there are
You
multiple different
guys have
states that
to.
is literally at will. I
That
can't
is
change that.
Disney. That's Disney. They don't
very
want
left leaning.
nobody on the. They don't want nobody. They're Jewish.
Again, if they
you know,
say, "Oh, that's fine,"
exactly,
you know,
that's
if you
their
say this about gay
policy.
people, that's fine. But then you say this about Israel, that's not fine. I can't be like, well, your standard is no. I just
No,
not work for that company.
I want y'all to name one person that works on Disney that said anything inflammatory, left or right wing, that stayed there at their job. She's pretty much the only person I've
Oh, I
heard
got one. I got one.
from her from Disney. From
I
Disney,
got one. Yes,
Who?
from
Who?
Disney.
Who?
The girl who just played Sleeping Beauty.
Rachel
I mean,
Zegler.
Snow White. I'm sorry, Snow White.
Rachel Zegler.
Yep, Rachel Zegler.
Did she get fired or no?
Nope, she has not. She has yet to be fired.
What'd
Yeah,
she
that
say?
was like the whole Israel versus Palestine
Not
thing.
Oh,
Hold on,
yeah.
not
Well,
only just
free
that. Not only
Palestine?
just that. Hold on. Not only just that. After the election, she lashed out on Instagram, basically wishing death on Trump supporters. She was not fired.
Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, let me see.
And
see.
that goes by
Wait,
what
let
I
me
said.
see. Let me see.
If it's a private
It
organization,
was
then
a
they will
lash
fire
out.
She
on
said
Trump
she said she didn't wish death. She said Rachel apologized for telling Trump supporters and hope that they never find peace.
Yeah, never find peace. I'm sorry.
That's
It was
you
something like that.
wishing death, brother. That's one thing. Never finding peace.
Oh, that's
And then
still.
she
Hold
said,
on. You still don't.
and then she said, "Fuck Donald Trump," which is a sentiment that pretty much most people have.
Well,
It
I
doesn't
think
matter
it's
when you're a
hateful.
public figure. Hold on.
I think that's hate speech.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hassan, when you're a
Yeah.
public figure, you cannot talk like that.
You definitely can't.
No, you can't. Because other people, if somebody
Bro,
else was to go say like that, they would lose their job.
I said definitely can't.
I
In
was
that
he agreed
position,
with you on that one.
yeah,
He said definitely can't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I know you definitely can't.
We're
You're-
pointing out
you're-
the
but-
double standard.
Yeah,
'Cause it's like,
this is
Yeah.
okay. I get it. Trump is a celebrity. Trump was a celebrity before president, and he said the most inflammatory shit. Nobody said nothing about it. They loved the fact that he said the shit that he said about Obama. They loved the
You
fact that
couldn't
he
get
was
fired
racist.
from nowhere though.
yeah, just a dude.
Thing. He was just saying he started that shit. But it's easy for y'all to say, "Oh
Wait, you
yeah,
said he couldn't get fired from anywhere?
yeah, he could.
Yeah,
He
he was his own boss.
100% could."
He was a boss.
What?
But
He wasn't his own boss at the.
no, he didn't get fired from anywhere. He got elected as president for it.
Yeah, which
Oh,
is
yeah.
worse.
So he got he got a
For him being
pay increase for that.
for him being
Promotion.
divisive, for him being worse than anything that any one of them said, this nigga became the president.
Hold on. Let me tie this up right quick because you said it for like a hot second, and I'm because I kind of think we're all on the same page.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're all on.
That's what I'm saying.
No. Well, the only discrepancy where is Hassan was saying he didn't believe that the left has the stranglehold on media and
I mean,
companies.
well,
I don't think so.
I was
I
just
don't
trying
think
to
so.
advocate that it's bigger than news
I don't think
network,
so.
and there
Yeah.
is a double standard. That was a good example when y'all brought up the girl who played on Mandalorian, and I said the girl on Snow White, she has yet to be fired for her inflammatory statements.
Yeah.
That was bullshit. She should be
agree with
fired.
I
That
agree.
was way more than what the girl from Mandalorian said.
Yeah, it is. It's more than what she said. But hers was essentially. I'm not gonna say anything. But anytime you say anything about anti-Jew or Holocaust, anything like that, saying I don't know, that's a different thing because you're talking about 6.5 million people dying, and you can't compare being a white Republican in the United States of America.
Just on that, because I hear that a lot, and this ain't me saying that.
Yes, it is. I know what you're about to say.
I want to hear it.
Hold on, man. Let me incriminate myself first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and this is just my opinion. I'm like, okay, look, that was fucked up. I get it, but it can't keep being the excuse. All right, because and I'm sure we've all heard this before. Like when when there's the back and forth on the left where it's like, it's just slavery, get over it. It happened 400 years ago. Like,
right.
Yeah, okay, that's annoying to hear. I get it, but it tracks because that was in the past. We need to look forward to the future. I'm not saying forget it, pretend like it never happened, but you can't keep falling back on that to justify or excuse modern actions. Now, in the case of the Jews, hold on. In the case, hold on now.
I'm a rebuttal for that.
Yeah, I hear you. But in the case of the Jews, it's like, let's say, for example, when it comes to October 7th, all right?
Mhm.
They were like, that was like the Holocaust. I was like, wait a minute. Oh, it wasn't. Nowhere close.
Right.
Not even remotely. You barely got a percentage of a percentage on that one. And now, and this is from what I've noticed, feel free to disagree with me, but it seems like that's their excuse to justify what's going on in Palestine, which I think we can all agree is just a straight up genocide. So it's like, look, okay, you guys may have been genocided, threatened to be genocided in the past, but that doesn't give you a pass for you to do it. Because now, what's the argument there? Like, okay, every person or every building that's still standing in Gaza is Hamas, actually. Like one of the, I think there was a story not too long ago, maybe a week or two back, where they bombed the hospital. And then some journalists went up there, after the bombing, and they were just like, oh man, we're going to do what journalists do. We're going to go over there, report it, blah, blah, blah. And they double tapped it while they were there.
Mhm.
And they were just like, oh, no, whoops, my bad, bro. Mistakes happen. And I'm just like, okay. I mean, and this is a legitimate criticism that the right gets because they're so pro-Israel. And I'm on the same page. I'm not for that because it's like, look, dude. Again, I don't know all the details, but it's kind of hard for you to. It's hard for me to buy the fact that these guys that managed to pull off October 7th, and your response is like this, and you can't tell me, well, the Holocaust happened and it reminded us of the Holocaust, and so that's our justification for going this hard. It's like, no. Eventually, it's like enough is enough. They can't keep being the callback for why you do what you do.
Right.
So and just to kind of go back to like the news thing, and the reason why I said we probably kind of agree on this on some level is because both of these not both, but many of these organizations are owned by guess who? That Jew. So
Golly.
yeah. And so it's kind of hard not to think on some levels like, well, maybe we're all being played on both sides here.
Yeah.
I think Rupert Murdoch.
No, actually, I will 1,000. Okay, guys, we are all being played, right? We are all being played by the the billionaire. This is just the elite class. They basically dangle keys in front of our faces and redirect us this way, redirect us that way, and say, hey, we got to do this, that, and the other yakety smack. We are all being played because there is an elite class of people, billionaires, that are going to become trillionaires due to policy that's been created, due to things that are in motion that they manufactured, and they know that you can get people. In order to get power, you need to get people. In order to get people, you need to fool them. In order to fool them, you just need to put it in front of their face.
No. And
and
Savage
for the
Man,
most part,
yeah,
the best, one last point, and one thing, in order for the rich to win, we have to keep fighting.
Yeah, I agree. And Savage Man, I'm not trying to get your channel screwed up. I really try not. I'm not trying. I'm trying not to. But I'm just. This is one of those things, man. It's like I feel like that's the thing that people don't want to talk about because But at the same time, it's like again, this is not me just going all in. Like, hey guys, I'm doing my best Nick Fuentes impression today. Like, no, I just think there's something there. And the fact that both political parties are so hard, in as far as support for this foreign country, which to me is foreign. I don't care what the details of the relationship is.
The dynamic that's not being
I have an answer for that.
We know why. I mean, we know why those people. It's because they own everything. So they own a lot. They own a lot.
It's for religion purposes solely. for Israel. I just want to put that out there. Okay, and I'll explain that after y'all go ahead and cook.
Out of all the things that we have in our particular country, and out of all the division, and after all the problems, that policies that we don't agree on, surprisingly enough, our involvement in Israel is actually one of the ones that is actually one of the highest, especially now in our day and age.
Yeah,
Hmm.
There is
because
a point of saying that we should also help out our allies. Majority of Americans are still fine with that idea. It did slack a little bit in one particular year, but other than that, it's always been up high that we should assist any of our allies that need
Hmm.
assistance.
yeah,
But,
I mean, yeah, I like
but
Taiwan.
when our
Boy,
when our specific ally is actually doing something incorrect or things that we do
man.
not believe in, and majority of the people saying, "Hey, that's a problem," and if we still do it anyway, that's what brings suspicion to be like, "Hey, wait a minute, are
Yeah,
you
like
behind both parties or helping assist with this or like because we're assisting you?" But because not too long ago, it was a very unique talking point of how much money is Biden sending to Ukraine. And
Hmm.
it wasn't money, it was old equipment. And
Old
then it
equipment.
was not
Yep.
old equipment, it was also just aid.
Well, I
Then,
thought no, that was for Ukraine, bro.
oh sorry, that was for Ukraine. I'm sorry, back
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
That was for Ukraine wise. That was the top talking point of saying, hey, you shouldn't do this. We should keep the money in house.
Hmm.
Then
yeah, because
Trump
I mean,
came in.
there's plenty of stuff we could be doing for us,
And I
and I
agree
think
with. There's still
yeah,
things that we can do. But then when Trump
Yep.
came in and we're pretty much still doubling our aid outside, then it goes, wait a minute. So now it is both sides. Now it's
Hmm.
why are we doing this?
yeah,
What's the
Yeah.
point from this one? Why are we aiding a genocide? Like there's more questions that people are
yeah,
Right,
interested
and
in
right.
looks
not getting answers from.
looks bad on us. I'm like, don't get
So
me wrong, we
it
can make
looks
ourselves look
horrible.
bad just
Yeah,
fine,
we can do that
but
ourselves.
yeah, but as far as this, it's like I don't like being associated with what many are considering a genocide. Now, don't get
So
me wrong,
now
you know,
that brings up to the same question that I asked right before Barack Obama got out of office. I asked what's next. I am now
Mhm.
looking at this, and it's going to be very interesting in the next 3 years to see how we are going to ebb and flow our way into an understanding to go to a new election and probably start changing some of the things that we say and act. Because, like for the last election or two elections before, we was asking them, "How do you feel about racial tensions? And how you feel about this? How you help with immigration?" At one point, this is going to be on the top ticket for a lot of people. Will be like, "Hey, how do you feel about Israel?"
Man, okay. So
Which that will give the best plan for a third party to actually step up at that point.
yeah, I didn't know he could shoot you. Now, my bad, go ahead.
I think that's I was about to say something.
no, no,
Yeah,
no, no.
yeah,
Oh.
you
So
said like,
here,
how do you feel about
How
Israel?
you gonna say
Yeah.
no and then say something?
Oh, my
here's
bad.
my
I,
here's my thing about Israel. Okay. Okay. The reason why the United States is so like wrapped up in Israel. Okay. We've always been wrapped up in Israel. It's not
Yeah,
even
of course.
before. Okay, but for the most part, do y'all know who? Do y'all know that this country is basically it's ran by evangelicals, right?
Hmm.
We right we get that right, like the evangelical organizations. I mean, the C Street, the family, Doug Cohen, they essentially they've run this country. All right. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that, but that's essentially what that is. So basically, C Street is operated by the fellowship, quote unquote. It's like it was like covenant for like the St. Peter's Church, like, and
yeah,
C Street basically have it was it's behind like the Madison building. It's in like by the Library of Congress, right? It has the presidential breakfast, the prayer, right? That's them. They the one that created all that. I mean, this is going back decades. All right. What ended up happening was what from that is a whole religious organization. All right. They're the ones that basically got Trump hired in 2016. The evangelicals. It was beyond Hillary Clinton. I mean, they the one that got him elected in 2016. Jerusalem. right? Trump made Jerusalem the capital, didn't he? Y'all remember that?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do y'all know what's in Jerusalem? Al Aqsa Mosque, right? That's in Jerusalem. It's the third largest temple for Muslims, right? Do y'all understand who the five heifers? Five heifers, all right? They are they're used to cleanse, right? It's a process requiring the ashes from them. And it's a ritual that to cleanse priest, right? And in service of the future third Jewish temple, the third Jewish temple. And with that Jewish temple, when they have all of those temples, that's supposed to bring in the second coming of Christ, right? Right?
Mhm.
When you have all those heifers, and they came from Texas. They came from Texas back in 2022, right? They sent them out to Israel. Okay, they've been trying to do this for years. The West Bank, right? That's where this is located, and that's where Gaza is. They've been trying to get everybody from Gaza out of there, which includes the Muslims, so they can bury this temple and then build their own temple. Pete Hegseth, right? He's even said he said we're going to get this done. Trump said we're going to get this done. That's the reason why Trump was telling them to go to Jordan and Egypt. Another reason why he was telling them to go to Jordan and Egypt, because if you're Jerusalem, if you're Israel, Jordan and Egypt, you put the people from Gaza, from Jordan to Egypt, they go out to Jordan and Egypt. They're going to say, "Oh, we now have terrorists in Jordan and in Israel. I mean, in Egypt. So then they can go ahead and fight them, right? Which is a huge problem, right? That's the reason why they had that. So they could say, okay, well, we're trying to move everybody out here. We're trying to get you guys out so we can actually create the third temple here, so we can create the second coming. This has been happening for decades. Decades they've been preparing this. They've been trying to get this to happen. They've been forcing this to happen, and then we just so happen to keep giving them money because we believe that Israel is God's people. Jewish are God people, right? This country, quote, even though it's supposed to be secular, Christian nationalism dictates that we protect Jews at all times, right? So now we have
Regardless of the fallout.
regardless, regardless. So we can fund a genocide because they want the second coming of Christ so much. They think the Gaza people are just, are they're deserving. The Muslim, even the Muslim faith, the United States hate the Muslim faith in of itself, right? So the third temple, right? That's their third largest, like the Al Aqsa, the mosque. That's their third largest, or their third most holiest temple. You destroy that, and then you put your third temple, your Jewish temple, in there, right? That then signals the second coming, and that's what they want, right? They want that. They want that to happen. So that's why they've been essentially given all of this money. They've been trying to help them to make for that to happen. All right. So for 2,000 years, they've been waiting for these red heifers, and they just so happened to come around in Texas. And then when that happened, that's when they sent them out there to Israel back in 2022. And that's an issue because now, because of that, it's all that the whole biblical thing. That's the reason why we're just staying there, and we're giving them money. And even if you talk bad about it, if you say anything bad about Israel nowadays, you possibly lose your job, right? This is all biblical. This is all religious. This is all for that, and that's the reason why it's like you can't really talk bad about it, because again, that's the reason why Trump made Jerusalem, oh golly, set there. Yeah, but that's the reason why Trump made Jerusalem the capital. Right? That was back in 2018. And then before that, again, before that, You know. So that's the main reason. It's all religious. And I don't like it.
So like religious fanaticism.
I
Basically.
fucking hate it, bro.
Well,
I hate it.
that I can understand because like I don't consider myself. I'm not religious. Now I'm biased in favor of Christianity, mainly because that was my upbringing. But you know, I have my
That's
issues
fair.
with it, but I don't pursue like against it because like I had this whole thing where I kind of identified as atheist for a while. Didn't really work out in my favor, so I'm just here. I don't even know how to like describe what I am, but it's definitely not Christian because I have a few friends that are Christian. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's some things from the Bible I think are good. I think some good ideas for here and there. Like oh yeah, family unit, yeah, I think that's good. I'll take that. Or so on and so forth. But I won't claim it as like my own because I don't read it, I don't follow it, I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, we're gonna put a pin in it and now, man. We're gonna get on up out of here.
Yes, sir. 3 hours. Good time. Good talk.
Oh yeah, good time, man. I really enjoyed the convo, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me
Absolutely.
on.
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna get on up out of here, y'all. Peace.
All right. Peace out, brother.
Peace.